One of these days, I'll do everything in the right order. The first thing you were supposed to see is this really cool. Look at this live stream of consciousness, man. I don't even know if you can hear me. I think Lydia's music might be loud. Not too loud. It should be loud, but I don't know. I'm going to fade out like the pro engineer I am. I'm sharing more information than you need to know. I can't actually hear the music. I just know it's on and I know it's there and I put it on and I'm like, this must sound cool on the other side of things. But I have no idea. This is just everything. COVID is the worst nightmare of everything. This is live stream of consciousness. My name is Tom Bianchi and this is show number 6, I think. I kind of been counting them, but it's just a mess of a world, and I don't know what's going on. I hope everybody's doing really great and had a great weekend. I actually got to go away this weekend, which is that is rare. I have some friends up in New Hampshire, and they have a house on a farm, and they have an RV, and where is it? The RV was over here. Okay, so the farm was like all of this, and the RV was over here, and my wife and I slept in the RV. My wife rode horses. So you'd think I'd be in this great mood. I finally got away, but then I just come back to, town where I'm in isolation, and I got these cabinets behind me because I have no kitchen. My kitchen is behind me. If I open up that door, there's right over there, the soup cans just come falling out, which is very symbolic of everything that's going on. Enough about me. I'm not here about me. I'm here to strong arm friends and to meet me live on the internet so I can chat and reach that place of connection with artists and friends that I had not too long ago when I was running 24-hour concerts in the Burn Backroom series and things of such. Tonight's guest is a wonderful human being in our community. She does so much work, and she's plays with. She's a solo artist. She's an actress. She's a singer. She has obviously sang her own material, plenty out there. I'm not enough about me. I'm going to keep talking about our artists. She has also backed up tremendous artists throughout the community and all over the world. And I'm really looking forward to this one. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight's guest, and I'm going to bring her on the camera right now, assuming I'm doing everything correctly. Please put your hands together out there in internet world and welcome Lydia Harrell to our screen. What do you say?
Hello. You did it right.
I got you on this camera right. Yeah. I think I screwed everything else up. The way my life's going, we're probably not even live right now. Probably.
No, I checked already. You're live. I looked. I shared it and everything. Yep.
Yeah. My wife always texts me if everything's going well, and I think I left my phone in the room. So she's texting me, and the phone is vibrating on the nightstand right next to her.
Right.
I'm smooth like that.
That's how it goes. I am great. I'm great considering everything. I every time I say I'm great, I immediately think, am I great? Yes. But I am. I'm okay. If I'm alive and I'm well, then I'm great.
That seems to be the thought after the thought after the thought these days. It's like, you know what? I'm fucking alive.
Yeah, I'm here, so let's do it.
This roller coaster of what the hell is going on, right?
Exactly. It's like, yeah, it's what a scary world, and just everything. This whole thing is so scary. I never thought in our lifetime we'd ever go through what we're going through, all of it.
How much did you have, and I'm not like, I'd love to talk about your projects.
Mm-hmm.
But how much did you have, like, literally on the calendar? Did solo shows? Now, you back up artists all the time. You play solo. I know you had a big thing coming up. My wife has texted me that, Lydia, you are lots louder than me, so I can fix that. All I have to do is talk louder and into the microphone.
I can turn me down, too, I think.
I know, I don't know if that makes sense. We'll figure it. I know you had a huge thing coming up that got shelved, and we'll definitely talk about that. But how much did you have to go like, well, this is out, well, this is out, well, this is out, well, is it just like a stack of dominoes that just kept going?
Yeah. I'm in a Steely Dan tribute band, No Static. So
Right.
that had a show pretty much right when everything was happening, maybe a couple weeks after everything started, and almost up until like a couple days before it got canceled. But I knew already that it was going to be, it was really frustrating, but I just knew, something just told me, because other things were starting to cancel. Things that were ahead of it were already starting to cancel. And I'm like, well, if the things that are ahead of it are canceling, then the current thing is going to cancel. And it did. And then but as far as how many, I don't remember the number. I just remember that I also sing in an event band, so like event and wedding. So all of those got canceled. And summer is when it's like, I just looked at my calendar and saw like, oh yeah, we were supposed to have a gig that day.
Right. It keeps coming.
Wonderful.
I keep hitting Facebook events that I meant to, that are like October 6th coming up. I'm like,
It's
August 16th, August 30th,
Yeah, it is really frustrating. And then any of the gigs I would have done for backing up people were probably just about to be offered to me, but didn't because everything got canceled.
Right.
So, and then I had, my own couple solo things I had. And that's just music stuff, I also, all the acting things, like, cause I do film and TV, but I also do theater. And
you do theater. You tell me about the big hit. When I heard about this one, I was like, this is terrible.
It was horrible because it was my first. I shouldn't say was, like, it's not going to happen. It's still going to happen,
right?
According to what they're telling us, they're very determined to let it continue to run. But this is my first, like, I consider every show I've ever been in professional because, it was a lot of work, and a lot of things went into it. But this was literally the first professional show that I've done, like equity, union, the whole thing, and produced by a regional theater,
repertory theater,
new repertory theater. Yeah, and it's
the Rep.
Yeah, one of them. There's two, right? Yeah, there's American Repertory, I think, and then there's New Repertory. But yeah,
okay,
yeah. So it was New Repertory, the one in Watertown, and I was so excited because it was I was going to play Billie Holiday and Lady Day at Emerson's Bar and Grill, and right as COVID-19 hit, we were in maybe our second or third rehearsal. And I remember the amazing Summer Williams, the director, she said to us, we should probably have everybody go to the grocery store. And so we did. We went to the grocery store, and I was there for 3 hours. It was ridiculous because everybody went to the grocery store.
Right.
And then I did an interview with WGBH to promote it, but right around when that happened is when they said, we're not sure, we're pretty sure we're not having it on the regular date. So they postponed it to the next show, which is unfortunate because the next show was going to be Fences. Equally awesome show. I wasn't going to be in it, but they weren't in rehearsals for that already. So they had decided to cancel that one and move me there. But they couldn't, that was only a month later. So then
in the beginning, we were rescheduling 1 month at a time. Like we thought, what it closed until April 22nd? Mm-hmm. Cool. How about May 6th? Yeah, how silly in hindsight.
Yeah, well, yeah. It was just nobody understood anything, and everybody was really scared to do that, to have to cancel everything. It's like, this is about revenue. It's about health. It's just about so many things that it becomes this very difficult decision. And it was scary. So they basically just said after the third time, they were like, we're not going to give a date. We just know we're doing it, and it's hopefully next year. So that's all I know. Yeah.
I'm going to go home, close my windows, lock the doors,
right.
Get a gun permit.
Right. I was thinking about it for a little bit. They're like, I don't know, maybe I don't know what's about to happen. And
do a search. What do zombies not like?
Right. Let me just I'll grow lots of garlic. Is that a thing? I don't know. Man.
Yeah.
So it was not as devastating as I thought when I got the news that it wasn't happening this year. I thought I was going to be just a wreck for like a week, but I wasn't. I was okay.
I felt like in the week, like what leading up to it, like what we're canceling, what I was devastated up until the point where it was all canceled, and then I was like, that's when like you're like, well, I'm still alive.
Yeah.
We had this was off the air just before we hit the air. We're like, how you doing? And we're like, well, at least I was like, well, and we were both like,
yeah,
we're alive.
We were here.
So we're here. So we're pretty damn good.
Mm-hmm. I feel when I say I'm great, I'm saying it because I'm great. I'm okay. I'm alive. I have some time that I didn't have before. It's like when you start to look at the positives to it, then it's not such a horrible thing. Of course, the horrible things will always be put into your face every day because horrible things are happening literally every day, especially because of COVID-19 and just everything else. It's an election year. So
how much news do you let yourself take in on a daily or weekly basis?
This is a very interesting question because at the beginning, I was really big about not going to the news. I don't really watch the news that much. But when COVID-19 happened, I thought, okay, I need to be updated on whatever's going on. I got to know. So believe it or not, I get most of my news from Twitter. But I was like, I don't want to trust just social media for this. So I'm going to just watch different outlets. I don't have cable, so I always catch either the highlights or something live on YouTube. And I was watching the president's daily briefings.
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
That went on for hours.
Yeah.
And basically said very little, sometimes nothing.
Yeah.
And to the point where I started to remember how I felt after 9/11.
Yes.
That whole
yeah.
And as soon as I started to do that, I was like, I'm not going to watch this anymore because the dude is only thinking how silly. He was like, did you see my ratings? And I'm like, my man, I'm watching you because I need to know what's going on. I don't care about The Bachelor. When
it's so hard. I try so hard not to get into the secular Facebook arguments.
Yeah.
I have better days than
I think we all run into that. We all run into it because, first of all, I didn't realize how many people that I know were such supporters.
Right. Especially you're in the music community, so a lot of people by handshakes and hellos.
Yeah.
So many acquaintances.
Yeah.
And in this community where everybody's excited, especially to see you, the artist. So they're giving you their best energy, and then they're like, "Babies deserve to be in cages if their parents threw them over the border." It's like, what?
I had no idea. Yeah.
Hey, what did you do? It's
yeah.
Oh my God.
I'm like, wow, did that just okay? So. And so most of the time I would just keep scrolling or just get off the social media in general.
Yeah.
But after a while, anytime I saw something that was directly affecting me emotionally or that I just couldn't take it anymore, that I'm like, my man, I don't even understand how your brain went this way. But let's talk through it. I try my very best not to disrespect anyone because I want respect back when I'm talking to them. The minute it starts to be a name calling session, I just back on out the room.
I've learned to do that.
It takes time. It absolutely
in the beginning,
takes time.
I have the tongue that gets me in trouble.
Yeah.
And in the beginning, I was like, but now I really do my best. Again, different degrees of success, but
that's all you can do.
Right on your social medias, you have, and I love this picture. There it is. Oh my God, this picture's awesome.
That was a great show too.
Your face is into it, and it's like the whole mic thing is just so rock and roll.
Yeah,
and you're sweating. And
it was burning that day.
Matter. It's right there. It's like represent, and you're pushing the cause, and it's like I love this picture. This is a great picture.
There's so many fun things about that whole. The photo and the time that it captures, because this is before everything that's going on right now. This was July of 2018. A lot of things happened. This was the Roxbury Jazz Festival, I believe it was Dudley Jazz Festival, something like it was in Roxbury. And I played with excellent musicians, all from Berklee College of Music. I had just applied to Berklee College of Music. And then right after that, that
as a
show, I got
student or a
hired
teacher? Because I know you
as
as
a
a teacher.
teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then right after that, I got hired. So I was just like, this is amazing. This, like, in a way, the summer of 2018 was very life changing for me in that aspect. But I've always been a supporter of Black Lives Matter because Black Lives Matter. It's just real simple. But when people would argue it, like before what happened recently, I was just every now and again, I'd get into an argument or not, but when I posted that photo again recently because it makes sense to post it. It's timely. It makes sense. And it's like, I didn't used to be very outspoken.
It's literally my voice.
Yeah. Like that's how I'm going to say it, because I have always been a very introverted and timid type of person, which is hilarious to people when I say that, because they're like, but you're a singer and you're on stage. And I'm like, right.
Yeah.
But when I'm on stage, it's like a different me. It's like I feel like when I'm really into it, like I was in that photo, I feel like a superhero almost, so that I can kind of say whatever I want and whatever I feel that I normally can't say when I'm sitting and talking to people even like this. However, since what has happened recently, and also getting older and just being a mom, all those things, I have slowly changed into the person that I am now, which makes it so that I won't come out screaming at you, but I'm not going to hold back and say nothing. I will say
that's
something.
what I was going to lead to. You just let the cat out of the bag. It's like you're a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement as well. We should all be, but the only reason more important than to be a supporter of the Black Lives Matter movement is because you have a young black child, which you do.
Yeah, and I do, and and my whole entire family, my nieces, my nephews, my cousins, my aunts, my uncles, my mamas. Yeah, well, I have a stepmom, so yeah, my mamas. But so it's like my whole family, and my son is biracial, so he doesn't. If he was walking down the street alone, they may think he's something, but they're not sure. And it's, part of that's because I'm so light myself, but he's black. He doesn't have to have the same kind of hair as me or whatever to be a black young man in America. And it's not easy when you're anything different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And either way, it shouldn't be a conversation that is like in defense of your life at any time. Just because you're walking down the street. Let alone it's like, sometimes you need to educate. As you say, to educate somebody these days is almost like a negative. You're educated. Well, I don't need to be educated, but like you do need to be educated. Like I use the term. I have a friend, Adam Payne. Adam Payne, singer-songwriter. He works at Bentley. I've known Adam, we've been crossing paths for years in the music scene.
Yeah,
and he was part of a meeting group of biracial people, young biracial people. I think that's where he met his wife. And now I think he has at least one, if not two kids. I haven't talked to him in a while. But I used a biracial term that I just thought was a term. I didn't know it was like a slur or not the term to be used. And he just told me, and I was like, oh.
It's hard.
Sorry, man. I didn't know. It makes sense.
What did he say to use?
Mulatto.
See, now that's interesting because I've heard the opposite. And that's the thing. It's like biracial, it literally means two races, right? Mulatto
this is an old story. I could be wrong. Just in defense of Adam, he might have been trying to give me a different message.
Well, the other thing is it may have changed because what happens is, okay, wow, you're talking about a stream of consciousness. This is great.
Yeah.
So the problem is everybody will ask Black people, what should I say? What should I do? What is the right thing? And the thing is, African American people are still learning ourselves. So how can we tell you when we're some Black people are, when we talk about systemic racism, there are plenty of Black people that are like, wow, I've been part of that thing the whole time, not realizing I was getting out of the way for people to make them comfortable, or doing this to make this, and changing my terminology because I'm not sure which one is the right one. Mulatto that word has history. I think it's a Spanish word that translates to mule, if I'm not mistaken. So do we really want to be called that? You know,
Right,
and
right.
that's the thing. So it's like, how do I know what the right term is? Basically, maybe we should just find a way to stop talking about the terms, but we're not at that point yet.
Mm-hmm.
We're still at the point where everything is separated by age, by sex, by race, by so many things. So it's like, first we have to fix the problem of the mentality of everyone. And this is something that that Black people have to do too. The only thing I always say after I say that, though, is white people can't be the ones to teach it or to fix it. That's an internal thing, just the same as while the white people are learning about systemic racism too and coming to terms with it, we can't always be there to be like, okay, yep, that's true, that happened, yep, okay, you know, like, yeah, it's a realization we're all coming to, and we all have to kind of look within ourselves to heal from it, and then find ways to fix it. And it's going to take time. I forget who I was talking to, maybe my mom or someone else, but it's unfortunate that I am pretty sure that the change I would love to see isn't going to happen in my lifetime. And I hope it happens in my son's. My son will be 14 in November, and I really hope that he sees that at least a little bit in his lifetime.
It's the roller coaster, the up and down plane of Zen belief is really interesting. Like, you know, the steady plane is what you want if you're Zen, and then this is what you want to avoid. The roller coaster of what was 5 years ago to what is now is really you didn't see that one coming. I didn't see that one coming.
Right. You know,
is it safe to say, like, one of the first things you say is like, well, whatever word you're using, if you're using it in malice, you're a fucking idiot.
True. Yeah, that's just true. Yeah,
it's not a blanket rule, meaning every word used nicely is okay, because it's not. But
that's true too. But yeah, but you definitely, if you coming at me with any kind of negativity on whatever word, if you say that black girl over there, then yeah, we got a problem.
Like,
you know,
exactly. Yeah,
you're clearly saying that you don't like me. So what's up? You know,
or like with anger or with manipulation. Like the Central Park video of the woman who's just like, he's black, help me now. Like,
yeah, I was just talking to a friend of mine about a great example of the old fashioned version of that is Gone with the Wind.
You know, I just watched that before the most recent spike in awareness. I suppose that's the right thing to say. I think it was last Thanksgiving.
Okay.
This past Thanksgiving, and my wife and I were home. I was like, you know, I've never watched this fucking movie. I just watched it, but literally, I've only watched it once. What's the correlation?
It's the way that she's I think it's Scarlett, or I can't remember her name now. It's been a while, but it's the way she's just, and every time she's upset, everybody runs to help her.
Yeah.
It's the tears, the overacting because I don't like this thing, so I'm going to use my emotions to make everybody jump in to fix it. I mean, Central Park Lady was perfect example as well, because she went from, you know, just a little angry to, you know, and it's like,
she flipped the switch. Yeah, there's no doubt. She was like, flip the switch.
But I mean, Black people see that all the time.
Yeah,
I love that movie. It's not a bad movie. I mean, that's the other thing too. It is a bad movie, but it's in a different way. But I feel like they were trying to ban a lot of movies. Like HBO, I think, had it, and they tried to ban it. And I'm like, no. We don't ban the movies. Don't do it. This is my opinion on that. You don't ban a movie. What you do is, when you come to some sort of a realization that it may be, you know, inappropriate for the times we're in now. It was never appropriate, but it's definitely obviously inappropriate now.
Yeah.
So then what do you do about that? Well, you don't get rid of it. It still has, for people who are studying film and acting and the evolution of it, it's a perfect thing for that, you know? So don't get rid of it.
As it is to say, because, you know, the only roles that Black actors got back then were those roles. But the woman who played that role was brilliant.
And she got the first award, and I mean,
Right,
and
right.
that
She
was a
won.
way to break the barrier.
Yeah, and
You
so,
know?
and you know, it's terrible from one point of view. Obviously, what is it? Was it Hollywood Shuffle? I think it was a Robert Townsend movie where they have the Black Academy for actors, and you know, all the actors they're saying, "Hi, I attended the Black Academy for Actors, and here I am in this movie," and they're all like playing stereotypical black roles. It's like it's you know, he's one of the first. I don't know if he's one of the first, but he's one of the directors that really. No, he's the David Chappelle of his time.
Oh,
Slapping people in the face with the kind of comedy,
Yeah.
you know, and
that's
I would like to think I was enlightened enough to be like, well, this is exposing some fuck shit at the time, but I was young, and I'm sure the community I lived in just thought it was funny. You know?
Right.
Like,
You know, I have a twisted sense of humor too, so that's another thing is that while I do find some things to be funny, it doesn't always mean they're right. And I'm trying to be a little better about making sure I.
well, you know who said
where my
I
heart
have to
is.
call you for the show? It's Kid Holiday.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, of course. I mean, you and Kit together, I could only yes. I'm
Yeah,
sure
that's
you
my
guys
girl.
do have the twisted sense. There
Oh,
you go.
absolutely. Oh, that's us. Yeah, I love her.
So what's it like when you guys get together with the sense of humor?
So basically all day, you know, all day, except for, let me look. I haven't gotten many messages from her today, but usually we'll share at least something hilarious and maybe slightly inappropriate. But it's
Yeah.
inappropriate in all the funniest ways possible. And because
Yeah.
we get each other's humor. And sometimes I'll even be reluctant, like, should I share this with her? I'm going to do it, you know? And then she's like, ah! And I'm like, oh, thank God. You know, like,
Well, your friends, you know your boundaries. I just had a situation where somebody made a couple comments at me. And it's like, because I play bass, so that must mean I have black blood, and I just let it go. I didn't know the person.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I was like, that. What would?
Where does that even
if
come
there
from?
was if I had a black guitarist next to me in the band, would you have fucking said that?
Right.
The
What's-
answer is
what's
no.
that?
And it's like, but do I have the right to be offended at that?
It's weird because it's like,
because yeah.
it's not an offensive thing necessarily, but like, why?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
even say that?
Yeah,
Okay.
Bass,
Sure.
Black. I get it. Sure, but no,
See, yeah, my humor doesn't go that like that at all. Not at all.
and I didn't go there. I let it go, and I know there's a world out there, whether it be right or wrong, where somebody would have just like destroyed the moment and went for the throat.
Mm-hmm.
And is that right or wrong? I don't know.
I don't know either. I feel like we have to preserve our energy and be good to ourselves, so we don't always have to go out of our way to fight with everybody.
It's exhausting.
It is. It is.
And I have very little to stand on for the fact that it's exhausting. Like,
But it is. I mean, this happens a lot. It's exhausting for everyone. It's more exhausting for Black people because we've been dealing with it for the whole time. So now, while people are coming to that realization of, here's this thing, it does feel good to have somebody step in finally to just kind of, that's not Black, to go, yeah, nah, you can't say that. That's, let me explain to you why this is messed up, you know, and that feels good to have somebody do that. There is a such thing as overdoing that though. I've had some Facebook warriors for me that have gone all out, not realizing that maybe they need to just stop.
Yeah.
Just stop. It's okay to let it go sometimes, because sometimes people are not going to hear you no matter what.
Right.
No matter how respectful you come at them, no matter if you yell at them or not, none of it's going to matter if they've already kind of made their decision. Right. I feel like that's the case with a lot of things. The only reason why the racism thing is important to continue to fight against is because it leaves a lot of Black and people of color too, people just out of, basically we're not equal. And so that's why it's worth fighting. But you still have to be good to yourself. You still have to live your life. You still have to go out and make the most of what you do have, because if you don't, you'll be, you know, near death and regret that you used all that time to argue on Facebook.
Yeah.
So
I'd imagine even if it was your job, even if you were a Black History professor,
Mm-hmm.
or you started a nonprofit, and even if it was literally your life's call and living, you'd have to figure out a way to shut it off sometimes, or else your
Yeah.
mental health would just suffer.
Yeah.
Like how do you?
Hmm.
Yeah, how do you shut it off? How do you just go for the hike in the woods, or take up sewing, or
Just we've been doing it for so long.
yeah.
We've been adjusting for so long. And like I said, some Black people didn't even know that it was as bad as it was.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they see that it still is in many ways, yeah, sometimes you got to walk away and take that break just to let that absorb, just to like really think that through and let that sink in. It's heavy. And it's just ridiculous.
Besides the obvious, what was the inspiration behind "I Don't Want to Be Your Black Friend"?
I wrote that before everything that happened. Now I actually wrote it when.
I'm pretty good at this, huh? Check this out.
Yeah, good job. I love it.
I'm alright at this stuff.
And you know what? I snapped that selfie of myself when Kit and I went to go see Hiatus Coyote open for Erykah Badu in Brooklyn, New York. That's what
wow.
that's who all those people behind me are waiting to see
Let me
the
go back.
show. And
Cool.
it looks like I'm in some sort of a cafeteria, but I'm not. I'm standing at my seat, and we were like so excited about that show. It was the coolest. And then I just thought, I'm gonna use that picture to promote the song I wrote, And but what inspired me to write it? Rachel Dolezal is what inspired me to write it, actually, which is it's a funny story, but it's still a serious story.
Yeah, okay. It took me a second to wrap my brain around
Like,
the name.
who's
yeah.
Rachel? Who's
Infamous, if you will.
Right. Because, right, poor thing. I actually feel a little bad for her now that over the years, after you start to hear her story and everything, I don't like what she did, but it's a hard thing to know where to go with that, because it's like she posed as a Black woman this whole time.
Yeah.
And was the head of the NAACP in Washington State. And it's like,
was she? Wow.
How? But that's because usually when a Black person says I'm Black, even if they don't look like it, we believe them because we come in all shades, you know? So, and she did her hair, and she would tan, and she was doing all this. There's a whole documentary on Netflix if anybody doesn't remember the whole story. But I thought that it was one of the most funny things I've ever seen in my life, but also just like, really? Like, okay, I don't understand, but she for Black people, she fought for us, she did protests, she did all kinds of things, but she was faking, and that's a problem.
Right.
We don't get to say, I'm going to be a white woman.
Yeah.
I don't get to do that. So why does she get to suddenly be Black? That's not cool, so I get it. But I didn't really make the song about her. It just inspired it.
Yeah, it's just the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. I was sitting in my living room, and I was like, so I want to write something to these chords, and what's going on in the world? And I'm like, a lot's going on in the world, right? And, and it was the Eric Garner, I Can't Breathe, the first I Can't Breathe, not the most recent.
Yeah.
And, isn't that messed up? How?
New York.
I'm gonna say I Can't Breathe twice, this is ridiculous. Like, this is stupid. But yes, that
it's so hard to tell people, like, people just don't believe you. When it's like, selling single cigarettes is just a thing that's been out for years, and they killed him for it. Yeah. They killed the guy for it.
Yeah. I mean, that many people. He was a big dude, but you didn't need that many people. You didn't even need to bring him down. You could have just had a talk with him about it.
Yeah. Yeah. Someone eventually's got to be the alpha. It's terrible. Anyway.
It was messed up. But the song was written because I had been through many times where people would say, I'm not a racist, I have a Black friend.
Of course.
I have plenty of Black friends. And then when you say, name some, they name one. And I don't want to be the one. Mm-hmm. I don't want to be that one. If I'm going to be your friend, we're going to be friends, not because I'm Black. I don't want to be the proof that you're not racist, because that's just a bunch of crap. I'm not going to do it. I am not going to be your validator.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say most of your friends, and I know a lot of your friends in the music community, wouldn't be the ones to say that. But I bet there are some fans out there that would be like, whoa, Lydia Harrell, Harrell, sorry, Lydia Harrell.
Actually, usually the ones that are not, that's how they'd say it.
Yeah, they like they see you as a friend, and you are a casual acquaintance and friend, and but they it's like, I'm not racist. I like a black artist.
Exactly. And that happens, right, in the music world, that happens all the time. And it's like, just because you like our music doesn't validate anything. That doesn't mean you've accepted the fact that we have our own culture, that we have our own music that you don't like. Let's say all these blues musicians. I don't even want to get into it, but like I'm not saying white people can't play blues.
I know,
but you better recognize that it came from us.
Everything that's coming to mind, I just want to preface. I keep going to myself. Am I asking a black friend right now? Is that
no? This is great. I feel discussions like this have to happen.
What? Because I'm a 50-year-old white dude. All right. So what the fuck is the disconnect with the white? It's usually like, and right now it's all these white guitar players that are like, I play the blues and I think BLM is bullshit and you can't and even not guitar players but people like I ride a motorcycle all the time, so the thing we love to do, my wife and I, is we just go into the back roads, and it's so funny because you're riding through Concord, Massachusetts, like Black Lives Matter, rainbow flags, everything that that equals like treat all humans equally, and then you go through the next town, it's like Trump, all lives matter, blue lines, and what I see a lot on the road, because I've been on the road a lot lately, is like the Jeep Cherokee, brand new, with the Trump stickers on the back, and a Trump sticker is a Trump sticker, whatever. It's the one next to it that says, if you don't like it, get out. It's the one next, you see what I'm saying? It's like, you want to support Trump or Bush or whatever, but it's the one next to it that you have the gall to put on you. And then in the back seat, there's a profile of Trump sitting like this, like a window sticker. Like they're actually
diehards.
People with some diehards. And then you pull up and it's a white dude. It's a white dude my age or older. Period.
Yep. Always.
What is the connect or disconnect to one or the other? What is it? I'm asking my black friend, like, what do you think this fucking are they threatened? Or they just don't want their way of life to change? Like, what is it?
Yes. Oh, well, okay. Let's talk about privilege for a second, because that's literally what that is, especially if it's a white dude. All right. White men are at the top of the food chain of systemic racism. I'm talking to a white man telling you this, but I know that you realize this already, right? And I know that there's still a lot to learn from it, but men like that they also have the complex of having something to prove. I'm macho, I'm tough, I can do this, I can protect my family, I can do all this stuff. And so, there's a bit of feeling threatened, like their way of life is going to change if they budge on how comfortable their life is, simply because they were born white. The minute they're born, they're comfortable and they don't even know it. And it used to bug me when I would talk to poor white men that are like, I have privilege. Look at my life. And I'm like, I get that. I do. But they've made it in systemic racism. They've made it so that even you, Mr. Poor White Man, are better than us. And that's just how it is. And so nobody wants to lose their status necessarily.
And there's been different levels of what you can do. Like in in years ago, it would be like you walk into the bank and you wouldn't get the loan. Maybe, but or it's the job.
Or the job or whatever.
Or literally just at its base level, still be alive.
It's ridiculous. And the truth is, some of those poor white men are just as broke as some of the poor black people too. But because they're white, there's a little bit more of a chance they're going to, if they just put some effort into it, just a little bit of effort, they can walk in and get something that a black person will walk in, and if they see the brown skin, they're not going to give them the time of day. And that is just 100% true. It's not even up for debate with me. The minute somebody argues with me, that's when I back out the room. I'm not about to argue. I know, because I've lived it. I've seen it. It happens. It's unfortunate. I come from a very small town in Michigan, Battle Creek, Michigan.
Yeah. Saw that. I looked at all. I was like a stalker this week. I stalk one person a week. and leading up to Mondays.
Excellent.
Battle Creek. Why Battle Creek, Michigan?
Well, I don't know. Yeah,
Random off. Like, what the hell happened there? What battle happened to that creek? That
there is.
Named
I know, right? There is some battle. I can't remember. I didn't, whatever the history of Battle Creek, but there is some awesome history there. Sojourner Truth. Some of the Underground Railroad is in Battle Creek, Michigan. Kellogg's owns 3/4 of the city. At this point, they might own more than that. Kellogg's. I went to Kellogg Community College. I went to W.K. Kellogg Junior High School.
Wow.
Kellogg's runs the show over there. So, we wake up smelling burnt cornflakes or some new test Pop-Tart or something, like whatever it was.
You're the beta for all the good dessert material. All
right.
The cereal.
Right. And we also had Post and General Mills there, but Kellogg's was the place.
So Battle Creek, Michigan just happened to be the breakfast capital of the country?
Every summer they have a thing called the world's longest breakfast table, except for probably not this summer. Yeah,
It's really long. It's like every 7 feet is another person.
I know, right? But they would put it all through downtown, a big giant picnic table, and they'd have cold milk and little things of Kellogg's cereal.
Stretches to the bottom of Illinois.
Right.
Stretches all the way to Cairo, Illinois, and there's 7 people at the table.
It was something else. But it was it's a city, but it was small, a small city. And I just didn't even realize that I was sitting in a place where there's plenty of segregation there. There's racism doesn't look the same there as it does in places down south, as much as it doesn't even look the same as it does here in the Boston area. Racism comes in different forms. It looks different and all these different things. Kit just sent me a message. She doesn't know I'm on. She's sending me something funny, I'm sure of it. Anyway, later she'll go, I didn't know you were on. But yeah, it's interesting. But the first experience of saying, I have Black friends was when I lived in Battle Creek. I was I was at a friend's house. Some kid said something to me that included the N-word, and I don't get mad very much, but I was mad. And so I walked across the street. I'm not even sure what I was going to do. I'm not a fighter, but I went over like I was going to.
Right.
And I knocked on their door, and they slammed the door, and then they're like, I'm not racist. I don't even know why I said that. I have Black friends. And it was just like, ever since then, that stuck with me. I was a kid when that happened.
Right.
And here I am, a grown woman, still remembering that experience.
Right.
That's why I keep trying to tell people, we go through this and it sticks. It's all these little traumatic experiences happen. And then on top of that, I'm a woman too.
Right.
Right. But I don't, when people are like, stop trying to make excuses for your mishaps. All you have to do is work really hard. Blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm out here.
Yeah, you hustle. Yeah. Imagine that someone telling somebody who hustles their ass off that they're not hustling enough. Like, fuck you, buddy.
Yeah. I didn't even realize how much was against me because I just ignored it and kept going. Mm-hmm. And I think that's important. But I also think at this point now, it cannot be ignored anymore. It just can't. It's been so long. It just can't be ignored anymore. So, but yeah, I wrote the song Black Friend because I wanted to basically just say, I'm not going to be your token. I'm not going to be that person for you.
That's, yeah. I'm really, check this out. Can you hear that? No? There it is.
Oh, it's me and, no, I don't hear it, but that's me and Dominic.
You don't? Hold on. Let me try this. How about now?
Well, maybe they hear it. I don't hear it.
I don't really know.
I could hear earlier when you played stuff.
I don't know. I don't know this world. But I do remember when you came into the Lizard Lounge and played this song. Yeah. And
I was scared.
It was awesome. It might have been brand new. You might have just written a song. I don't.
It was fairly new, but also it was like I was just scared because, like what I said earlier, I didn't ever really feel strong enough to stand in front of people and say, no, this is it. This is what's happening. I'm saying this. I never was an in-your-face kind of person. And now I find it fun when I actually say the first line, I don't want to be your Black friend, because I see people kind of going, what's she about to say? I also recently played this it was during Juneteenth, which was the first time I'd ever been able to celebrate it and understand what it even was about Black people are just now learning what Juneteenth is. Come on, So like, anyway.
Yeah, I honestly did not know.
But I knew
if I had heard it,
it
it didn't stick into my brain until this time around.
Yeah, I didn't know the day it was landing on. I just knew that something to do with slavery and the information didn't pass. I didn't know that. I know way more now than I did then. But I shared the Black friend with a group of people just celebrating it. And I said, I wrote this with one thing in mind, and I wanted to make it peaceful at the end because I wanted people to know that really I just want to be your friend because we're friends. And then I was like, but in a way, my views have changed a bit. And it's because Black people have always gone out of our way to make white people comfortable because that's what we were trained to do. That's been conditioned in us for the most part. And so it was still conditioned in me when I wrote that song for me to be like, okay, I'm going to say peace, brother, at the end of this now. And I'm not going to change it. I still feel the way I feel about the song, but I don't feel so peace, brother anymore. It's more like, listen, I can't be your friend until you figure this out for yourself. And until we can start to get the world to come together and see each other for just people. And
the song says, I just want to be your friend.
I just want to be your actual
So you're not saying like, I don't want to be your friend at any fucking level.
Right.
Go away. It's not what you're saying.
Right. No, it's not. But I just felt like I was blanketing it at the end for everybody to just be like, oh, okay, everything's okay. And it's like, I hate that. I hate that I made people feel comfortable because they were so uncomfortable earlier. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. But my point of the song is still the point of the song. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember I remember being at the Lizard Lounge and that song, and you're in Cambridge, so it's a supportive audience. It's mostly white audience on Monday nights when I used to do it.
Everybody there was great. I was really happy.
I think this has been on the tip of my tongue this whole conversation, and it's me, it's my point of view, so I'll just take it for what it is. But I was talking about like what the fuck is the disconnect with other 50-year-old men driving around their Jeep Cherokees. Right. But the important thing for me is to, as I go forward and get older and theoretically wiser, is to own mistakes and own misconceptions. I talk about the Lizard Lounge open mic, and I talk about this point all the time. I think because I have a level of it's the only regret I have about that show, other than drinking way too much at it all the time because I almost fucking died last year because I drink too much. Right?
I'm so glad you're still with us.
Thanks. I'm alive. I'm doing all right. Isolated and not working. I'm unemployed, but this is This show will probably make like $20, and we're gonna, make $4 each. I'm gonna send 2 over to Beth Israel. They're gonna be like, "Thank you for your $2 check."
Every dollar counts. Let's go.
Yeah. But the one of my regrets for that show is I started the show. It wasn't intentional, but I still should have fixed it. I started that show. The mission statement was I modeled it after another show that was successful. And it was a contest, and the rule of the contest to keep it at this thing was that it was acoustic. Like I was like, if you can play it during the apocalypse, you can play it on the stage. So yeah, we plugged a guitar into a DI box, and we had a microphone, but that was it. Like I said, no amplifiers, no effects pedals, no external keyboards,
I like that.
Nothing, right? But what it did was it knocked out the entire hip-hop community. And all along, I would get artists who would have tracks, and they'd bring them in. And I always said, I almost always said no. And even if I did say yes, I said, well, it's a slow night, so I have time for you, but because people would sign up in advance, so I couldn't. It was almost always busy, But I would always say, but you can't be a part of the contest, even if it's your original music. It's like it's a regret. I have the technology. I could have plugged it in, and I could have integrated that show tenfold, and I didn't.
You did it though, but you didn't make that rule with that in mind.
I don't feel guilty like I'm
Yeah.
such a racist. I can't believe I did that.
Yeah.
I feel guilty because I had an opportunity to
Yeah.
do something a little bit better than I had done it.
But see, as a musician and as a teacher of music, I feel like hip hop has grown from those kinds of restrictions too. And again, it's not about race. It's about, okay, if everything's on a track, what can you do to make some of this be a live thing? I think The Roots is one of the best examples of being able to take something that's been sampled and play it with real instruments. And so you're seeing more and more of that now. And so now you're going to be able to see more and more. You'll start to see where they actually have bands backing them up. And
I could have been the guy who took like person from here, person whose music was this, and person whose music was this, and brought it together. Because that open mic did everything from form bands to create marriages.
Oh wow!
Like
I didn't know that.
Sure. You know, musicians would meet.
It was a beautiful environment that you made. Yeah,
it still is. By the way, another Berkeley teacher, George Woods, is taking over the open mic, and he has made it more accessible to any artist. Pedals, rap tracks, plug-in backing tracks, rather. He has made it more accessible, and I think it will be better for it.
Yeah,
but
it's a learning experience. You know, you learned, and it's okay.
But getting away from me, I wish I could say I could help people to say hey man, it's okay to not understand what Black Lives Matter is, and maybe be open to the fact that you're fucking wrong.
Right.
You know,
be okay with being corrected, and then actually listen instead of waiting for your turn to talk and just fight back. And that's usually the issue. Yeah. I'm always nervous whenever I play my music that's going to be controversial that way, because I'm worried that I'm going to get that person that's going to walk up and say, I don't like this. I mean, not even about race, but about just people and their unwanted opinions sometimes. Stephen Higgs and I played a gig once. We used to play every week at the Custom House in Boston, downtown Boston. He's a pianist. And I had a guy that came up, and thanks for being here, Leah. And a guy came up later. Now it's a show where we play covers, and it's just me and piano, and we have a break in the middle. Nobody said anything to us at the break. And then later the guy comes up and he's very upset with us because we decided to perform Imagine by John Lennon. And I mean, right? Wait a minute. What did I do wrong? That's a really pretty song.
I don't like British people.
I was waiting for so it was around Christmas time, and he's like, I can't believe you would play that song. It's around the holidays. How dare you? Are you artists or are you performers?
Oh, so it's a religious thing. Imagine there's no heaven. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe. He never really fully told me why. He just said he found it offensive. Oh, and also because he was in the military. He found that to be offensive. And I said, oh my goodness.
No
sir,
countries.
All that, nothing to fight, nothing to kill for. Yeah, all that. And I'm just like, sir, we did not do the song in protest. We weren't trying to upset you. But also, how dare you sit through my whole show with a snarl on your face and then come over here and tell me about what I chose to play? Yeah, and I wish that I had the answer right then when he said, are you artists or performers? And all we did was stand there dumbfounded because we couldn't believe he didn't like the song. But really, my answer is I will always be an artist first. Always. And artists get to pick whatever the heck they want to sing, and you have to just be there. And if you don't like it, you can leave. It's okay. Bye. You know?
Yeah. And
it was unbelievable. So that's what I mean. It's it's so just, I don't know. It's just so people just come out with their opinions and just push them on you. And you're like, my man, I wasn't even talking to you though. So not want it.
Yeah. It's, being an artist, and now you're playing a song. So you're putting on a show and you're there, and so
it's a question that's stuck in my head for years. I was like, am I an artist or am I a performer? And it's been me face talk, make noise.
I almost want to. I almost said crusader, but that's not what I'm trying to say. It's the connotation on the word is a supporter of the cause, or a cause, whatever cause it might be.
Right.
And so, like, like when I used to play the subway, I had song. I would have a song, and I would always say, I write some protest songs, but I always put them to a happy beat. This way, whether you agree with me or not, I don't agree with you, but I'm dancing and having a good time. And I would literally say that and goof it off. And and what one of the lines for me out there in the street when I used to play is the second I started doing those songs in anger, I was graying the line between what am I doing? Am I standing on a box yelling, preaching? Am I the good preacher now, or am I the angry preacher? Right. And even if the anger is justified, does anybody listen to the angry preacher? It's hard. And so you have a song, and it's called Black Friend, and you play it, and it's like it's funky, and it's people. There's humor in it, so you draw people in. But then like something happens like today, where I don't know if you saw the news today, and if you didn't, I'm sorry. There was another terrible shooting today.
Oh yeah, my mother told me I have to check it out. Probably
it's terrible. So and then you go to the show where you were gonna play that song anyway, but now you're fucking livid because another young black soul has been shot in the back, and it's like,
Yeah, and then all the humor starts to dissipate a bit, and it's like I don't even feel like being funny right now because I'm pissed, and then, it's hard.
Yeah,
I could play the song. I have my ukulele here.
Oh, you know what? That would be great. I'm sitting here trying to figure out how to get it on YouTube, and the stupid platform and the internet is failing me, and my computer. And
yeah, it's cool. I could play it. I haven't played it in a while, so I might mess up the words or something, but whatever.
It's all good.
Let me see if I got the right chords. Okay, here we go.
I made myself tiny, and I made you.
Okay. All right. Cool. I don't want to be your black friend. I just want to be your friend. Cause when you see me as a token, the friendship will have to end. Whoa, whoa, whoa. My friendship don't want you to keep me politically correct. I knew I was going to do that. I'm not going to be the one to keep your terminology in check. I'm not going to be the one who runs in to protect you from a mess you created, from a statement that you made. I'm not going to be the one. No, 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 no. No, no, no. I don't want to be your black friend. I just want to be your friend. Cause when you see me as a token, the friendship will have to end. Whoa. My friendship don't make you politically correct. A friendship deserves attention that will nurture, not neglect. This could say to you, it's time to look within. Cause that's where it begins. Oh, that's where it begins. I don't want to be your black friend. Oh. All right, here comes the bridge. A young man wearing a hoodie, another can't breathe, and then a white woman said she was black for popularity. Ow. You call our women angry and our young men thugs, and when you're called on it, you want to hug, and then you say, no, I have a black friend, so everything's okay. I have him for dinner. No, I've never had anybody for dinner. We don't want to be your black friends. No, Now all that madness is gonna have to end. Cause when you see us as trophies or tokens or animals, the friendship could never begin. Let's be friends. Woo, let's be friends. Oh, 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 I hear you singing. Let's be friends. Ooh, let's be friends. Whoa. I see your ukulele.
I got one.
Nice.
I love it.
So y'all have to excuse me about messing up my words. I don't. Ooh, yeah, that's attitude.
Little attitude. Little attitude.
But I don't play. First of all, I wasn't. This is a very important thing that I've been wanting to say, and now I have a place to say it. I've always wanted to be more of the artist. It goes back to that thing we were just talking about. Where are you artist or performer? Are you entertainer? That's what he said. Are you an artist or an entertainer? Mm-hmm. And it's like, he's got a point though. I don't want to be the clown. I don't want to sing because sing. That's what you do, right? And it's just I don't like being barked orders or entertain me. And what I learned recently, because I've had the time to, is that I neglected myself as an artist. I was hardly playing my songs because I was singing at other events, having to sing the songs I have to sing rather than the ones I want to sing. And so I'm out of practice with my songs. And so honestly, since COVID-19, I've only been inspired to sing here and there, but not as much, but it's starting to come back finally. So I'm super excited about that. So people will start to see me doing more. I've already written, I'm working on a second song right now, but I wrote a song with collaborations, one with Eric Cifuentes. He's a drummer in the community here.
Yeah.
And then another with that I'm starting to write with my friend Nero Tyndall. He used to live here. He's a guitarist that used to be here, but now he's in, I think, North Carolina. But that's the beauty of online stuff is we don't have to be local to each other to work together, Right. So, but I lost my love for singing for a little bit. I was scared because I'm like, this is what I know how to do. This is all I've ever known. This is all I've ever wanted. I don't want to right now. And now at least I figured out the root of it. I was able to sit down and say, what don't I like about it? Okay, I'm not a clown and I don't like being treated like one. And so to answer
you're also making a living singing.
Exactly.
So you gotta.
Yeah. And when anything's a job, there's going to be some aspect.
There's a priority there. I love singing and playing, and I'm grateful to have a band to do it with. And, there was a time when I used to travel and tour and do the festivals and the singer-songwriter camp things and the Kerrville Folk Festival and the Falcon Ridge and, stuff up and down the East Coast a little bit. And it was a lot of fun. But in the last bunch of years, like my job has been booking and running a concert series. And that is the priority.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, you have to feed that artist because the other stuff doesn't make sense. Yeah. And it's okay. You're obviously a wonderful singer, and I can only imagine that you're so personable and so insightful that I can only imagine you're a wonderful voice teacher and coach.
I do enjoy doing that too. Yeah, but it gets when it's a job, it's all of it can get daunting.
And you have to. But if the artist doesn't get fed, I feel like you don't find the joy. The artist is who got you into this thing. Absolutely.
The first half of my music career was me doing original music with my first original band here, which was called Hyptonic. And Scotty Verco was my songwriting partner. The band lived together. We all lived most of us lived in the house. I think.
Remember when you could tolerate that?
Oh my God. You know what's amazing though is
I don't even like living with me.
I know, right? Oh, like, you guys are so annoying. And I was the only woman in a house full of men. It was just ridiculous.
Oh my goodness.
But it was some of the best years of my life because that's when I was feeding that artist the most. We wrote music every day. We would give each other exercises. Because this is when we were first starting to learn how to use samples and stuff on the computer. We're all going to take these same samples and we're going to come up with something in the next hour. And then we're going to meet back down here and play it for each other. And we would do that. And how much fun is that? I wish that we had that again.
So you lived in a place, it was the band?
The band lived in the house together.
My goodness.
Yeah. It was me, Scotty, a guy, our guitarist, Dan Ledger. We had two bass players. One, we called him stunt bassist. His name was Dane. And then the other bassist did not live with us, but he was there every day.
So, you literally had two basses at the same time?
No. When we did our recordings, we had our main guy who didn't live with us. Okay. And then the one who did live with us would do literally stunt bass, like things with really cool effects on it.
Yeah, I get it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you're preaching to the choir there. Yeah.
So we actually credited him as stunt bass on our album, but he was a great guy, and it was fun to live with them. And then it was also not fun to live with them, but man, it was some of the best time of my artist life. And so I just have to find, or I have found now since I've had the time, what that looks like for the adult me, the mother me. I'm a mom. I have a career. I got responsibilities, but I still am allowed and have a right to be an artist. So
you mentioned some like local gigs. Some of those where some of the songs would get out at the local gigs. Were you able to do your own thing? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. So whenever I would play at like the Medford Shell gig for Laura Brereton.
Yeah.
So whenever that happens, I could play my stuff. I would do a mix. I would do a mix of, because what happens is I gain fans from being the entertainer. And so they're going to come to this show and expect the entertainment that they're used to having. So I would mix it. I would be like, okay, I'll do some of those songs, because some of those songs as an artist I still like. But but I felt freer to be like, okay, now I can play this original that I really love.
I think there's room for both, and I think that that comes with the instinct to know the room and play the room.
Exactly. I think that is extremely important. You have to understand your room. And that's the thing too, is since I don't like the rooms that I was in, I need to find new rooms. I need to find rooms that are okay with having an artist there and not necessarily only an entertainer. I think artists do entertain. That's why I was like, there's an intersection with that artist and entertainer thing. And it's like, that's why it was such a difficult thing to answer.
Yeah.
Know? Like, okay.
What are the rooms that you like doing like your stuff in?
Well, anytime, like I said, anytime Laura would.
Oh, I got it. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
And then also like, just any kind of place that booked me because they had heard my original stuff. So if they said, I heard your stuff on YouTube, then I knew they were booking me because they liked what I wrote or what I did as an artist. Chianti was pretty cool with it. That was a great spot. The fun thing about Chianti is I could mix in a lot of different styles too. Even though it's a jazz spot, I could do jazz and I could do R&B and I could do reggae even if I wanted, and they were fine with it. You know,
who would be your band up there? I'm guessing.
It was
probably guess most of the names.
It was interchangeable, but generally I had the same bassist, Dominic Davis. I had different drummers. I had, so many. Nate Wynn, he moved back to Michigan, but he was amazing. I also had Anthony Steele. I had, I can't remember all of them, all the drummers. John Iltis. I've had him there before. Keyboards, I would have Joel Hiller. I had Stephen Higgs there a few times too.
Stephen's great.
Stephen is great, yeah. And also Mark Copeland. He didn't play that place with me, but he was another keyboardist or pianist keyboardist that I would work with. I tried to call the same people. Jeff Lockhart was always welcome, whether I called him or not. If he was there, he'd up here, you know.
Right.
So Jeff Lockhart, I got to call him back.
He's so good.
He called me recently and I got to call him back. But anyway, everybody loves that guy. There's a video that I posted of him playing a solo from 5 years ago that still gets likes on it to this day. I'll get this like, what is this? And I'm looking at it, oh, that's that. Okay, that's that Jeff footage. Okay, people just love him. So anytime he was even in the vicinity, it's like, yeah, man, get up here, let's go. Sometimes I would go to the jams there, and then it was like a big, just everybody. Greg Luttrell would be there when he was in town, and what's their last names? The ones that live right there, the brothers that play horn.
Yeah, I was waiting for the Arudas to pop up.
Yeah, Arudas. Yes, they were there. Yeah. They would show up.
There are some great musicians who are really behind the club.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
It's funny. I'm in Somerville, and I just moved to Everett, and it's on Route 1, which puts me right in line with the shore. Like, all of a sudden, I'm going through Beverly all the time. So it's like I'm like, oh, that's Chianti, and it seems like my wife and I are rolling past the place twice a week now.
Yeah,
and so it's interesting if we will get back to things. If I find myself going to a Lydia Harrell show up at Chianti sometime, I got to ask you before I forget. I mean, what was that? What? How? Why? What? Like, tell me about that, please.
For most of my life, I wanted to sing at the Apollo.
How could you not?
Right. It's
on late night TV. Yeah. And audience, yes.
Well, so here's the thing, though. That one was not on TV because I didn't realize that the Apollo runs 2 versions of the show. So the show I didn't know was only going to be live at the Apollo. You had to be there to see it. And that picture, by the way, I have to say, was taken by the amazing Caroline Alden.
Oh,
She and Kit came to see me at that. They were sitting right up front, and Caroline snapped that thing with the purple on my fro. And I was like, yeah, girl. And my dear friend Sala Johnson made that dress for me. It was a special thing. But the reason I auditioned for it is because a couple years before I had auditioned for it and didn't make it.
What were you auditioning for specifically?
To be on the show.
Just to be on the show, to be on an Apollo show.
On the show. So basically, the way they run it is almost as similar as casting for The Voice or American Idol or America's Got Talent. The difference is it just didn't go onto television. And so the TV version is called Showtime at the Apollo.
I grew up watching it. Like,
Me too.
I grew up on Long Island, so like I'm close enough, and and I just watching. I would watch it as it was Friday or Saturday night every single week. I watch all the late night stuff. I grew up on it all. Everything from the Whistle Stop when I was real young to.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So we had
some great shows back then. Like we had some good stuff going on.
It was even later on. Friday night videos was how you saw videos. It's like. But the Showtime
great.
at the Apollo was like a big deal.
It really was.
A big deal.
It's still, but the one I did was called Amateur Night at the Apollo, which is the same thing. It's like it's the same concept. It's just not on TV. Anyway.
It's fun. I mean, just to play that room.
It was so cool. I mean, I got to rub the tree, stump and walk on stage. And so the scary part of the Apollo is that there's always going to be a possibility that you can get booed off the stage.
Is that,
That's a real thing.
Is that legit?
That is legit. Wow. It happened. If you look it up, if anybody watching right now, look up Lauryn Hill.
Oh my goodness.
They didn't boo her off the stage, but they booed her. They were booing her. And then suddenly she did something and they're like, oh, wait, she can sing. Shut up. She can sing. But it didn't start off well. She was about to get booed off. And there's a guy that would come
because that's so
and kick you off the stage.
It could go the wrong way quick enough, right? I mean,
and that's the thing. When you boo people on the stage, usually the performance is going to get worse because now you're even more nervous.
Can't hear.
Right. But I had, the band was killing. The band, they know what they're doing. It was beautiful. So I went out and I sang Higher Ground. And I did my thing, and Higher Ground by Stevie Wonder.
Intervisions, yeah.
And I sang my heart out because I love Stevie Wonder, and I made it to 3rd place. The way they decide places is once you're a finalist, they have you come stand on stage, and then it's a noise meter to see how much applause you get. So I'm like, oh, I'm not going to win. I don't know New York people, and I didn't bring a lot of people with me.
Right.
But I made it to 3rd place, but I hope Kit sees this because she's going to crack up. There was one lady that yelled out, "Lydia ain't winning shit." And I cried
That's
laughing.
awesome.
I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. I needed at least one boo. Somebody needed to say something to me, and she went, hey, when it's nothing.
Yeah.
And she was loud. It was amazing. But I got third place, and so that meant I had to come back the next week. And when I came back the next week, I did A Long Walk by Jill Scott. Mm-hmm. And I felt great about it, but I didn't place that time. Mm-hmm. I actually lost to a violinist.
I can't win them all.
What I found interesting is he was a great violinist, and no shade to him. But what I find is that he was just playing popular songs, and that is what got everybody to go, oh, I know this song. This is by Drake. Oh, this is by
honestly, you say I don't know the song. I don't know who Jill Scott is. I have no idea.
You need to look her up. You should know her. If you know who the Roots are, then you do know who Jill Scott is.
Okay.
You don't realize it.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. She's from the whole Erykah Badu, the Roots era. They all came out at the same time. Neo Soul, that whole.
But it's funny. Maybe if you played, I don't know, and pick your Beatles song, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like you might,
Love the Beatles too, though.
Oh, of course, but I don't mean that as a derogatory thing against the Beatles. I mean, the popular, the blatantly popular, or like, whatever.
Yeah.
I have like, this too. I have.
That's amazing. That was so much fun. It really was. I was just so excited that people showed up to support me. People I didn't think would show up supported me. Like Ryan Monbleu was in the audience. He was there.
He did, yeah.
Yeah, he showed up. And Kit came with Caroline, and
I got Ryan queued up. I got him queued up.
Yeah, Ryan was in the audience that day, and it touched my heart to know he was there. Because he didn't have to go, but he did.
Right.
That, so that was really cool.
Ryan's a good dude, man. I've known Ryan as long as I've known just about anybody in town.
Okay, he's an excellent songwriter. That dude is for real. He's the real deal.
We have a running gag. I've always hosted open mics. Mm-hmm. I've worked my ass off to not have a job.
I know that's right. I hear that.
So Monday night, I'll do an open mic. Tuesday night, singer-songwriter series, $100 and a meal and free drinks. Yeah, I'll fucking do that. It's the same $100 I'd get for the same gig today.
I know that's right. Mm-hmm.
And Ryan came in. I was hosting an open mic in Alston at the Kells.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow.
Remember the Kells?
Yeah.
Terrible meat market of a bar. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Terrible bar. But Tuesday night, they let us have the back room and all the disco lights and all their bells and whistles, and we would just do an acoustic open mic. And it was kind of rowdy. Like the Lizard Lounge open mic was a listening room, like we were talking about before. Well, this was like just everybody was just partying and hanging, and we even had like the disco smoke machine, the smog machine. Oh, yeah. So I'd be like, ladies and gentlemen, our next performer, Lydia, Harrell, and I go, shh, and I'd fog the place out. And the staff would be like, "Are you using the smog machine? Because that's really a lot of money." You're like, "No, I don't know what you're talking about."
That's hilarious.
But Ryan was coming in, and at this point, he was living with his mom and dad in Peabody, and he had a job. He would play these substitute teacher songs, like a 3-chord blues tune.
Oh, I don't know that.
And he was like right out of college and giving the singer-songwriter thing a shot, But he came in one night and he cut his hand, and he was playing, and he played, he muscled through his set. And then the next time he came by, and he's so good, and I'm like Mr. MC, I'm like, oh, ladies and gentlemen, I would always be like, this guy came in one day and he had a cast on his hand, and then a month or two later he'd come in and be like, this guy came in one day with a broken arm, and he got on stage, and I opened for him at like Paradise or something, right? Some years later, he gave me a slot opening for him, and he's like, every time this guy sees me, my arm gets worse.
Right.
Like, I had like a finger. I had like a bruised thumb one day, and I played a song, and he tells, it's funny because every time I'd introduce him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's a good dude. I'm not surprised he went to see you in New York, of course.
Yeah, it was really cool. Well, he lived in New York at the time. He moves a lot, but still, he didn't have to come. And I thought
that's in Brooklyn. That's a long way up to the Apollo.
Yeah. Harlem is not next to Brooklyn for sure. No. So that was very sweet of him, and for everybody that went, thank you so much for being there. I really appreciate it. And it was
at 125th Street, right?
Yes.
Or 110th Street. What?
No, it's
125.
Mm-hmm.
That's Martin Luther King Boulevard, if I remember right.
Yep.
I lived up there. My father's born on 135th Street.
Oh, okay. I know that street too.
Riverside and it was considered Spanish Harlem when he lived there.
Okay.
He tells stories about jumping off the aqueducts and what's like into sewerage basically for fun.
Oh God. Yeah, I was always afraid to live in New York. I regret that now, but when coming from Michigan, New York City is like, I'll just move to Boston. Like, thanks.
I was lucky enough to live there for a little bit, but at the same time, I was young and stupid, so I really didn't take as much appreciation of it. Mm-hmm. But I don't know, it's such a fucked up city for so many reasons. Like when I lived there, crack was the epidemic, and it was just fucking dangerous.
Yeah,
it was really dangerous.
New York was a whole other place back then. Yeah,
and then it became Rudy Giuliani land. In retrospect, I mean, that's a whole conversation in its own. What he did to the city. I mean, he's really just got rid of people, basically.
Yeah.
Established a terrible precedent. And on one hand, people go, "Whoa, it's safe." It's like, yeah, you can fucking, you can, if you flatten a city with a bomb, technically it's safe after the bomb goes off.
This is true.
But what kind of harm did you put in everybody's way? All the people you displaced and all the terrible institutional systematic racism you embraced.
There was definitely a better way to have done that, and the result is nicer, but it's not. It wasn't the way to do it. But who are we? We didn't have the job. We didn't. Whatever. I just hope that. I just hope people are learning from all this stuff that happened. And that's the biggest thing. Are we learning from the history? I hope so.
There's some history going on right now, though. This is stuff that'll be chapters in the books.
It better be, and I need for us to have learned from it. I think, like I said, in order to see any of the change I wanted to see in my lifetime, it needs to be learned, but also it has to be for the future, even after my lifetime.
What do you say to your son? How old is your son?
He'll be 14 in November.
Yeah, he's a very impressionable age, and what do you say to your son
about what's happening?
I guess it's such a broad question, but I don't know. I don't want to.
But it's okay.
Limit the scope of it either.
Yeah. I've always, from birth, I always wanted him to understand that he has a lot of heritage to be proud of, and it includes being Black. His dad is Irish and Italian, and his mother is, for as far back as I can trace, I'm African American, and we know there's Native American as well in the family. Mm-hmm. And that's something to be proud of. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't let anybody try to make you feel like you're some weirdo because you are biracial. Like none of that should.
My father has danced around. I'm sorry, it's terrible. I'm drinking coffee while we're talking. I get more and more intrusive. My father has danced around. My parents are beautiful people. My father grew up, like you say, he grew up Spanish in Spanish Harlem. Mm-hmm. His mother is from Spain. His father's from Argentina.
Okay.
And they left when he was in his late teens, maybe.
Okay.
And he moved to New Rochelle, which was more suburban white.
Oh, I know.
It's just above the city. It's Mount Vernon. It's just above New York City. Mm-hmm. I think the trains still make it up there. Mm-hmm. And they basically, my dad might be watching. He watches a lot. I don't want to speak exactly for him, but like from what I've been told by my sister and my mom and him, like they basically stopped speaking Spanish. Mm. They didn't want to be Spanish. They wanted to fit in with this white culture, and I don't know if that was a conscious thing. I mean, my mother doesn't speak Spanish, but like I never like was taught Spanish. I'm not throwing my father under the bus, but like it's like in other words, but I also was never taught to like embrace that culture either. I was not that I was taught not to, but like I don't know if it was a subliminal thing my father did, or even if he did it at all, but like he never really talked about any
I think, and again, I'm not going to speak for your dad either, but I feel like parents made those decisions because they were trying to protect their children.
Right. And then I grew up in suburban Long Island where it's like, you know, you know, I remember, guys like, oh, you're in New York today. It's the New York parade, like the Puerto Rican Day parade. Oh, New York parade. Like, you know, it's like, that's what I grew up in. So like, I'm like, what the fuck? Like Long Island, let me tell you, is the most fucking racist fucking place. Really, there's so many people. It's very red. It's not like the rest. People think of New York as this blue state. Like Long Island is not fucking the Martha's Vineyard of New York. Wow. It's very conservative, it's very red, and it's terrible, and it's very segregated, and it's very literally train tracks.
Yeah.
You go this way up the train tracks by the water, and it's all the rich white folks in mansions. And you go this way, and like when I was growing up, again, crack was a thing. It was crack houses, you know.
That's scary.
And that train track runs all the way down the South Shore right into New York City, and that's a story in almost every single town. So it's funny. I moved to Boston. Like I moved to New York, but not really. My mom and dad, I could go back and forth. I was still had a home base in the bedroom I slept in when I grew up. But like it wasn't until I moved to Boston where I went like, oh, that joke isn't funny. Like I knew, like I even told that joke when I was 10.
Oh,
you know?
Yeah, there's so many things we learned as kids that we didn't know.
Yeah, and later, and that's like, oh no, I knew deep down somewhere, I knew this was fucked up, and now I'm being schooled. I live with I was in my mid-20s living with like college kids who were like, that's wrong, you know, and explaining to me why, because that's what 20-year-old kids do, you know, who are going to BU and whatever, you know, Harvard, and
it's like this. That's what I mean. It's the unraveling of that whole thing. It'll take a while.
It might not be our lifetimes. Won't be mine. It might be yours.
I'm not that much younger than you.
I don't know. They get not by looks.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not a. Yeah, it's not going to happen quickly, unfortunately, because if it was, it would have happened already.
Yeah,
but I have to say, based on from when I was a little girl up until now, a lot has changed, but just not enough.
I kind of cut you off. I asked you a very specific question about your son. How does your son? How do you talk to him? How does he process his stuff? Is he is he a happy kid, an angry kid, a typical kid who has all the emotions? Like what is he? You know?
His emotions are interesting. I think he's still learning about emotions. But as far as his views on things, honestly, my son just cares about video games. And also he's an artist, so he likes to draw. He likes to make music too, but he hasn't been focused on it as much lately. But when it comes to what I talked to him about what happened, well, first of all, I decided I wasn't going to shield him from any of it. Now, when he was little, I did. But right around when he turned maybe like, I don't know, 10, I started to be like, yeah, dude, you're in double digits. So here's what's going on in the world. Like, you need to be aware. And he's very protective of me. When he sees like when he was a little guy, before I even got the chance to really talk to him too much about race and everything, a little kid said that they thought his mother was ugly, meaning me. And they said it kind of in front of me. I'm like, this kid has balls of steel. Like what? You know, like, dude, go back in your preschool, whatever. And he says to me that he thought I was ugly because of my hair. He didn't like my hair. And I've always had my hair since 1999. I've had my hair in natural like this, like in an afro. And my son started to get so hurt and teary-eyed, and he didn't understand it. And I said, baby, we can't get mad at that kid. And I understand why it hurts, but don't worry. Mommy's okay. I'm okay. What you have to understand is that poor kid got taught that this isn't beautiful. And so you think it's beautiful, right? And he's like, I'm like, okay, then that's all that matters, because when it comes to beauty, it is in the eye of the beholder. And it's also about what they were trained or conditioned to believe is beautiful. So that kid will grow up and learn. You know, he was too little to really fully explain it the way I wanted to, but I did go there. Later, when I brought that up to him again, though, I let him know. I'm like, listen, some people are just like, if all they've ever seen is one type of person, then that's the only thing that's beautiful to them. And that kid has not been exposed to much yet. I mean, they were like 3 or 4, you know, so you got to give them some time to be exposed to it and hope that their parents are not saying that this is ugly and that maybe that kid just said it because they've never seen it. You know what I mean? Like but when it comes to what's going on in the world right now, I just tell my son, listen, honey, there are some bad things going on in the world and we have to speak up when it is time to speak up. We can't let it just keep going. Mm-hmm. I let him know how important it is to vote. I know that the Black community we're having a hard time with votes. I hope that people understand why it's hard. It's hard because so many times our vote has been made to not matter.
What do you mean? We're at a hard time getting folks out to vote?
Get them to get up and actually vote. Yeah. There are many Black folks that I know and that are not going to vote no matter what I say. There is nothing I can say, and I can't get mad at them because
I vote for Joe Biden, but I have my son yelling in my ear up until he was nominated about the 93 crime bill.
That's the thing. It's like we could go on and on and on about what they did in the past. And it's like the truth is the real change that needs to happen has to start from the entire system itself and dismantle it. And until we're ready to do that, we have to deal with always this like, well, one's better than the other kind of thing. Right. And I don't know how to convince Black people to go out and vote more, like in bigger numbers, because of things like suppression, like making it so that their voting poll is going to make them wait 3 or 4 hours before they can get in. I live in a state where I can just walk to my poll and I'll be in and out. You know,
since I've lived in Massachusetts, I've had zero trouble.
Me
voting.
too. Me too, but I've never lived in those areas where they're doing it, so it's really shocking to me that
COVID or no COVID, there's never been more than 2 people in front of me.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's going to be just fine for me. I already know I'm going to go and it's going to be fine. But I just, I'm concerned that my main reason for wanting to vote and for voting and always voting is that people died for me to do it. Mm-hmm. And I used to say that it was. Women like when women couldn't vote, white women couldn't vote. And the reason I'm making a distinction is because when white women finally were allowed to vote, Black people still couldn't. Mm-hmm. So therefore they weren't fighting that fight for me. They were fighting it just because they thought it was unfair, that women could. And I agree, women should absolutely be able to vote, but so should Black people. And so and the fact that people died for that right, the whole civil rights movement that went down to get
people in this world, not everybody has the right. As fucked up as this country is right here, we still have the right to vote.
Yeah, right. And also, but like even here, mass incarceration makes it so that a lot of those people that were put in prison cannot vote. So they find another way to make it so that we can't vote.
Which goes back, and then you talk about people who are put in jail for having a frickin' joint in their pocket, and
they're in a state where it's legal now.
Yeah, and meanwhile, it was a felony, and you still can't vote. I mean, it's terrible. It's really
it's stupid. So I'm like, you'll never see me fighting with Black people about why they aren't voting. All I can do is share why I think it's important to. Even if it feels like it's not. Because, I mean, the other thing, it was the census. You know how everybody's touting the census right now. Make sure you get counted. Make sure you get counted. You know why a lot of Black people don't want to get counted is because at one point, the census used to count every 5 Black people counted for 3 people. Why would we want to get counted? And also, we didn't want to get, like, tracked down, and things like that.
History is fun. I just...
crazy.
I just
yes, I am a man, Bob.
Yeah, I don't know. Are you looking at that at Restream, or are you looking at Facebook?
It's on Restream.
Yeah, I think that's probably coming from the YouTube feed, which is really horrible.
YouTube's hilarious.
Yeah. No, look, it's Periscope. It's actually coming from the Twitter feed.
Periscope is always the worst. Yeah. But listen, I love you, Periscope. I haven't been on in a while. For anybody that saw me on there, I have one, and I used to be on there all the time, But but they're always at some crazy troll person. That's just how it is.
It's
I'm the prettiest man I've ever seen, honey.
and I'm a lovely lady. So there you go. I'm as dainty as a fucking flower, right?
For those that don't know what we're talking about, there's a comment that came out that said, "Are you both men?" And it's like, "Yep, I'm a man."
Oh, yeah, that's right. The Facebook folks might not see that. Yeah.
Yep. So I'm a dude now.
Oh, it's so terrible. It's so easy to get down when you look at some article and you look at the comments. I know we're just preaching to the choir. I know everybody thinks, how do you? Oh my God! So it makes you vote like one vote for the virus. I know that's a joke that would have been between you and Kit and not public, but it's like really when I see like a Bob out there, I'm like, maybe the virus should take us all out at the same time. Like I love, it's like, I love humanity, but I hate people. It's like,
I get that. And I could say some pretty mean things, but I'll just
I'll
leave it at the vote for the COVID. I like that.
Yeah. COVID, don't come near me. I'm just kidding.
Right.
I'm just kidding.
I'm good. Don't strike me down. But it's the voting thing is really important. I believe that I just joined a campaign to help bring more awareness to people about why it's important to vote.
You don't mess around. You work. You wear it on your sleeve.
I try to. Like I said, I'm not always the most outspoken, but I always find if I'm not going to be out there just going, then I'm going to find clever ways to do it, whether it's in a song or sometimes just directly. I'm making a video, like here it is. In fact, recently I did a collaboration with Jared Sims, saxophone player, and we did Mississippi Goddamn, and it was amazing how it worked out. I ordered some masks online, and I got ones that said, love Black people as much as you love Black culture, and then one said Black Lives Matter. And then another one said that I didn't get to use, but I'm going to use soon, Black votes matter or Black voters matter. Either way, they matter. And I feel like we need to know that. Listen,
that's great.
Way to show that example is everybody came out in droves. People that never voted before.
Yeah, that's great because it's not, Black Lives Matter. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's a thing. It's an important thing, but that's very literal, as opposed to the other one is like spiritual, like Black Lives Matter. It's a matter of the heart and human rights. But Black votes matter. I mean, that's like if you're out there and you have a Black vote, it's like my vote matters.
Yeah. And I think, like I said, people came out in droves to vote for Obama and he won. And I'm positive it's because people that had never voted before were like, I'm going, this is history. I'm about to go. I hope that the same thing happens, if anything, for Kamala, because it's almost equally as huge. It is equally as huge. The only thing I'm disappointed about is that I feel like she should have just been the presidential nominee.
Yeah.
Like, come on, you guys. Why do we have to do this order of operations thing? Like, we got to get the man in and we got to get the man in. It's always the man. Like, can we just skip that and just go straight to the woman?
Were you a supporter of hers right from the start? Did you, if you don't mind me asking,
No, I don't mind. I don't mind. Now that it's where it is, it's whatever. I did support her. I was also really into Cory Booker, and I also liked Andrew Yang. I'm sorry. Andrew Yang was my dude. I was all about like, let's go, Andrew, let's go. Not because I want the $1,000 a month, even though that would have been wonderful. Yeah. But that's not it. It was, I liked his ideas. I liked where he was going with it. And they didn't give the poor guy a chance to talk very much. It was really ridiculous.
No, they did overlook him a ton.
A lot. And I'm sitting there waiting for him to say something. And when he finally did, he answered questions. He was right on it. I'm like, come on, Andrew, let's let these people know.
My son is a huge Bernie supporter. He grew up a lot of his time. He's lived with me since he's 14.
Okay.
And he grew up in Vermont with his mom.
Oh, okay.
I've always been I've always, been his father. I've always been, every visit, every other weekend, every holiday, I've always been very entwined in my son's life. And he's 18 now, and he's lived with me since he just turned 14. So it's been great.
That's awesome.
He was a big Bernie guy. He met Bernie.
Oh,
He's,
that changes you when you meet the
yeah, he's
person.
young,
It's like,
So he did his, and he's very politically minded, and he did a lot of campaigning in the household,
Mhm.
and he's very anti-Biden all the time. I think it's his first vote now, and he is going to vote for Joe Biden, but he
I bet it's hard for him
specifically,
though.
he when he moved down here, if you don't mind me babbling about my kid,
Oh no, it's okay. I love that. Listen, that's all I will
when
do.
I told you, right? I said the show should be about an hour, like an hour and 40, and it's just
Are
love
we
having the
really?
talk. I don't know if anybody's watching, but I just love the conversation.
Well, I see Claire said that I believe she's talking about Andrew. Andrew will be back. I
Well,
believe
yeah, that's what I'm getting at. My son, when Biden was first like pulling away, and in his opinion, Bernie got his legs taken out from him, which is probably a half true. It's probably true,
it happened twice.
Yeah, twice, right? And
Yeah.
and in order to keep things, in order to support his mental health, because it really affects him deeply.
He cares.
He
That's
really
nice that he
cares.
cares. That's awesome.
What I said to him, and I do actually believe this too. Like I do hope that Biden wins this election,
Well, yeah.
and in some dream perfect world, a fairly independent candidate. And I didn't make reference to Andrew Yang. I don't know if he's considered independent, but like someone would come along 4 years from now and win that election. It's like, get Trump out, because he's just
do whatever
he's just
to get him out.
the dumpster fire is terrible. And then that he took to that, and it's funny. Just last week he started talking about Andrew Yang.
Yeah, that's my dude.
Yeah,
Awesome.
and because that is like someone younger.
Mm-hmm.
Why
That was actually the bigger thing. It's like, this dude's a baby to the rest of these people on the stage.
Yeah.
You know?
I honestly think no matter who wins, we're going to have our vice president going to be our president in 2 years. Don't matter who wins.
I'm not saying anything.
Yeah.
I'm not going to even. I know why you're saying it,
Yeah.
and but that's why it was important that he pick a strong person to do that.
Very, very vibrant, strong,
Yeah.
take no bullshit.
Right. That is
person.
definitely Kamala. She
Yeah.
ain't about to come. She ain't having it. So yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, okay, I'm okay with this choice. My biggest thing was he has to do a really good job of picking somebody who is strong, and she is strong. But of course, people are going to dig up stuff on her. It happens every election. That's going to happen.
We just make shit up. Apparently, she's not a citizen.
Right. So same with Obama, right? So,
Yeah. Besides that whole American dream thing, where this is how the country is designed to work.
yeah. But there was also the thing of like, she's not African American, and it's like, okay, the technicality is she's Indian and Jamaican, but Jamaicans are from Africa.
You know what? She's black in America. You're not seeing this.
Too, but it's like,
you're not seeing this. Like,
absolutely. But if you got to get that technical, then look up the history of Jamaica and then come back and talk to me about it later.
Right.
I mean, like, just come on, you guys. But she was born here in I believe she was raised in California. So it's like, let her be great, y'all. Let her be great. Let her enjoy this historic moment. It's a big
all the violence that's been, all the police brutality against black people in America. I'm sure it's not just black Africans, folks.
Oh, no,
it's a skin color thing. It's not what part of the world you are from.
Absolutely. Yep.
It's
and there's also that whole. Yeah, exactly. It's about, like, I was talking to somebody recently. I was talking to a gay black man. That's all I'm going to say. Gay black man. And I said, which one are you first? Are you gay or are you black? And at first he was confused. He was like, I don't know what you're asking me. I'm like, I'm basically talking about intersectionality. Are you gay or are you black first? You're both, but which one are you first?
Depends on who's trying to kick my ass. Because we've been preyed against by all.
Right. But when you're walking down the street and there's nothing that says, hi, I'm gay, which usually that's not the case. All you see is their skin color. You will always be black first. And that's kind of the point you're making. They could be from, Honduras, but if they're dark enough, they're black. Mm-hmm. And that's it, So it's like, you have to remember that, we need to stop thinking about it in that whole, like, whether or not they're from here or whatever. Of course, it matters, I think, for vice president and president, because you're supposed to have been born here, and she was. So it's like, then that's it. That's all we need to care about. She was born here. She qualifies.
Very much born here, too. Not that it matters, but it's like her parents moved here, went to school, they met here, created a life here, had a child here.
Yep. They did the whole thing that any immigrant does. You know, that basically is what America is anyway. So, so I really do hope that more people will get up and come out for her. I do believe a lot of women are going to come out for her because they're excited about this. This is a big deal. Man, you know, I think about Hillary and I'm just like, that poor woman, that was cold. Like what they did to her was just out cold, you know? So yeah, this is it has to work. It has to work because we need this in history. We need this in our current times to change it so that we can have better things in the future. It's the same as when Shirley Chisholm ran for president way back.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, right, lady. Like, it ain't happening. But she was an inspiration for so many.
Yeah, I just heard a little bit about that. I was just NPRing. I was just NPRing. They had her. So funny. It's the way candidates, people would speak back then. Like everybody sounds like JFK trying to run for office. They all talk very deliberately, with one point at a time. It didn't matter where they're from. Right. They all talk like that.
Yeah,
like somebody had to catch up. They had to write it down. They're like, okay, yeah,
right,
yeah.
And now you got somebody who's like. And we had these tests, beautiful tests. Like, you know, that's how we're speaking now. Okay.
I had to take the cognitive tests a bunch last year.
I don't know this test, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
It's all right. This is what it is. They say 4 things, you know, lady, man. They really do. They say like, you know.
Okay, so that's really a thing. Okay.
Oh yeah, this is what the test is. They say like 3 to 5 things. You know, apple, boat, fish, whatever. It's hard to even just think of 4 random.
Try to remember them.
4 completely random, I think, objects. You know, I think they were all nouns, right?
Okay, that makes sense.
4 things. They're all things. Like a noun. A thing is a noun, right? And then they ask you some random questions. I don't even remember maybe I'm failing the cognitive test right now. But they ask you is this an elephant or a dog? That's an elephant. I think that was one of the Is this what is 5 minus 3? 2. Count to, you know, count backwards from 100 to 89, or what's
I see. Okay,
weird, easy math questions, but ones you'd have to go like, even if you have to use your fingers, you have to like count back 7. Count back 7 from 92. So you have to go like 91, 90, you know, like
right.
And then they go, what were those 4 things I told you?
Yeah.
Now, the funny thing is, the very first cognitive test, because if anybody doesn't know what the fuck I'm talking about, I had a stroke last year, right? So like,
right, okay, that makes sense. Then they give you that test.
Right.
To see how you're
so
doing.
I took this test every day for like 5 days in a row in the rehab hospital. The funny thing is, the first time I took this test, I fucking nailed it. Like,
oh, nice.
I was like, those 4 things, and I went, that's a weird question. Coffee cup, mouse, Digio 2 interface, and speaker. I'm just pointing out the things in front of me like the president did, you know? Every single time I took the test after that, I fucked up those 4 or 5 things because I knew it was coming.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, okay, Apple test thing, yeah, okay. And then like, I would only be able to get like 3 out of 5 or even 2 out of 5. I psyched myself out. It's so funny. Like I failed it every other time, and they go, I'm like, no, I swear to God, I'm good.
I would have messed it up. So
yeah, it's funny. And they give you the nicer ones would give you a hint, and you'd be like color, like, oh yeah, blue, you know, and like but some of them be like, well, you got 2 out of 5. I'm like, no, I didn't, I swear, you know. But like it's so funny that we're even doing this about a president of the United States. Like,
it's so weird.
In all seriousness, I had a friend deep in alcoholism, and we tried to get him taken out of the house and put into a hospital because he was dying. He was having seizures.
Oh, wow.
Okay, and the EMTs came, and they did that. They asked him 5 questions, and he got like 2 or 3 of them right, and that was enough to not commit him.
Ah.
All right, that's the test the president is bragging about.
Right. Like it shouldn't be that difficult.
Like,
It's
what street do you live on? Literally, one of the questions was, what street do you live on? And he got that one wrong because, like, your brain is. He said the street he grew up on. You know, see what I'm saying? Like, like that's he's bragging that he's a genius. He's passing that. That's where we're at.
Mm-hmm. You ever see the movie Idiocracy?
You know, I've gone through it. It's the Bill Maher movie. No, that's not the Bill Maher movie. That's Religulous.
I did see the Bill Maher
I've seen bits and pieces of it. Yes.
It's a funny side note is Terry Crews ended up being the president of the United States of America in that movie, and it was like watching the WWE had just taken over the world. It was the weirdest thing I've ever seen in my life, and but it was hilarious. And every time I watched it, I thought, this is funny, but it'll never get this bad.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm like, okay, I was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And wow, okay, I'm completely weirded out by how very accurate and almost accurate it is to that movie. And I mean, that movie's a comedy, so it's hilarious, but still, there's a lot of just people don't know how to read. They're like, I'm making you the Secretary of the Interior. What's the Interior? I don't know. Figure it out. You know. They're watering grass with some Gatorade substance and not understanding why they don't have any more crops. And their genius was Luke Wilson, who played the main character, who traveled in time 500 years ahead, to basically say, did you try water? And they're like, well, water goes in the toilet. Okay. And then suddenly he puts water on it and now they got crops. I mean, it's just, but like, that's kind of like, it feels like that. It's not that it's not that ridiculous, but it feels like that sometimes. And it's the scariest thing to me, like this is the person in charge and these are the people that are surrounding that person in charge. And that's a lot. It's a lot for people who are used to having that Kennedy, and I am here today to let you all know that I am your president. Instead, we got,
like when people spoke like a visionary, but that's like almost like a pedestal, and folks they want to be the pedestal. Now, I have a theory. I don't know. I'm not saying this is a well studied theory or anything, but I think that this whole reality TV movement, I hope this is the apex of it. Like, I hope this is it. I hope, all right, Howard Stern started putting women in mud baths on Channel 9, and then the next thing, the Real World came on. And that was, Howard Stern was the beginning of reality TV.
And I love him. I love him, but I just...
same here. He's a great interview. Like if it weren't for Howard Stern, we might not be talking like this today.
Right.
I used to listen. In fact, when he would get on the radio, because again, I'm from New York, so I got him from the beginning. And like he would get on the radio and call like a KKK minister and just fuck with him. Like that's my guy. Like, and then he just leaned more and more into like, and if you watch his movie, he's like, then I realized lesbians meant ratings.
Right.
And that's where I went like, this is fucking horrible. This is fucking terrible.
Right.
And I think that's the beginning of it. And then MTV's The Real World. And then it just take it from there. Every little show and past their prime, fucked up celebrities making, and so on and so on and so forth.
And it leads into real life.
And and people want to be these people because you always want to be somebody on TV. And now it's the president. And I'm dearly hope. I'm not saying I've studied this. I'm not saying it's a theory, and I'm some sort of a teacher, some sort of historian. But I'm just throwing it out there. I hope this is the apex. Where I hope this is the top. Where like the producer, creator of, by its definition, great reality TV has hit the top, and but now all of a sudden you're realizing you're just throwing people into a mud pit, and that's not fucking cool. Like you just you've the apex of this shit show.
Yes,
the
like,
apex of
be there now and be done with it. Right.
What can we take the worst aspects of humanity and make a show out of it?
Right.
And that worst aspect, and it's the president. I mean, he really represents some of the worst aspects of humanity. It's funny, people talk about oh God, I just lost my train of thought because I saw a text come in. I'm a fucking squirrel.
Oh, piece of candy.
Yeah, I lost. I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's all good.
Yeah.
I was thinking about what you were saying about see, now I lost it too. But it was oh goodness, you were just onto something too. It's okay. We'll watch this and go, oh yeah.
Oh, that's it, yeah. We were talking about reality TV, and we're talking about the apex of it, and the shit show.
I was going to actually bring up the whole like the Kardashians and Kanye and that whole thing too, because that's all part of the reality thing too. It's like it ties in.
All part of the apex I'm talking about.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All of a sudden you have Kim Kardashian fighting for prisoners' rights, which is
that was great.
A great thing.
Yeah.
You know? Oh, that's what I was going to say. Is I see a lot of people on the interwebs fighting for Trump because of the economics of it. You know, Trump is economy and this, and he's good for the economy and blah 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 blah. It's like, but I suppose there are arguments there. I'm not an economist. Like I'm not an idiot. But like the humanity of it is so dark.
Yeah,
it's like it's so far beyond. Like it's
very so the root of the issue to everything that we've been talking about. And I really don't care if I offend anyone, but it really has to do with capitalism. Mm-hmm. Because the truth is, I've never flourished in any system. I'm not doing financially awesome right now. Mm-hmm. I wasn't before COVID, and I'm not now, you know, and that's because I'm a Black woman in America. Mm-hmm. Now, is it possible for a Black woman in America to do well? Yeah, but usually that Black woman in America has to do way more than anyone else does to get there. And so when they start talking about the economics of it, I'm like, it doesn't matter for me. I wasn't benefiting either way. So y'all talk about your little economics all you want to, but what really matters to me is making sure that, you know, like that we have healthcare, and that we have, you know what I'm saying? So like, don't, you know, like, okay, blah, blah, economics. I don't care. All I care about is, please don't keep messing with my taxes so that I have to pay more money than the rich guy. Please don't take my health care away when I can't afford to get it.
Trying to take away universal health care.
It's the craziest thing I've ever heard of.
When you don't even have a plan.
No, and we've worked so hard to get it.
And you work so hard to get it. And there's folks
and we still
out there.
Don't have it everywhere. It's only in certain states. You know, so like, come on. So I'm just like, we're talking about like all this money that's got to flow, the stock market, all this stuff. And it's like, my man, some people just want to eat tomorrow.
Right.
You know, so we don't care. All we care about is, can I take my baby to the hospital if they break a limb? Can I make enough of a living wage so that I can pay the rent that keeps going up because the landlord is making it go up, because the mortgages are going up, because the banks are blah, blah. It just, you know. It's
and just the safety set. Like, I can't call the police when somebody's breaking into my house because that would create a worse scenario.
Yeah, there's
like, how do you explain that to like white dude? Just he don't want to fucking hear it. He's like, well, if you're doing the right thing, then the cops are like, no, you don't fucking get it. Like.
You know what's really messed up is Black people, Black women especially, will not call the cops on a Black man that's abusing them because they don't want them to be killed. How messed up is that? That they, like your husband could be beating you, but because he's a Black man beating you, I'm not calling the cops because I don't want him to get shot. I just want him to stop beating me. Like, that's crazy. But that's the world we're living in. That's the world we're living in, and it's frightening. And so, yeah, like I said, when people keep coming back with this, but the economy, and I'm doing great, and it's like, yeah, see, it's because you're doing great.
Yeah.
Yay.
Right.
You know, hooray for you.
Yeah.
And I see what's the name? Elkie, or I'm sorry if I said your name wrong, but she's laughing at Kanye West, and I have to admit that is pretty funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Kanye.
Alki is a huge supporter of live music. She's one of the best regulars that the Burn Back Room series has. Wonderful, wonderful person.
We need more Alkies in the world.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. So Kanye was is still very much an excellent producer. And I want to point that out because a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people didn't follow Kanye before he was a rapper and before everything. And so that's why it was always hard for me to speak on him, because I'm like, I know that Kanye is talented. I know he is. Yes. I also am pretty sure that the dude has bipolar disorder. And so
he's not doing great.
Yeah, and so because of that, he needs.
He lost his mom, and that was probably the last ground in reality.
Yeah. And when anybody tries to say that's not what happened, it's like, I was his fan. I loved him. I would have been right up front cheering him on the whole time if he had stayed the way he did when I first heard of him back then. And his music, I was loving I'm a big hip hop head. So I was all about all the people he produced for. Common, Brandy, the singer Brandy. He had done so much, but yeah, his mom died, and then he got into a family that's on a reality TV show. And that can mess up your whole reality because you have cameras following you everywhere. It's like, it's just a lot of things happened in his life, and he never really was able to, in my opinion, he was never really able to heal from any of it. And so when that happens, this is a result of what that looks like, especially because he's rich.
And then you lose that sense of reality.
Right. So it's like, he's just got a lot going on that's not supporting his healing. And I wish him very well. I want him to be okay. I want him to go back to making that killing music that people are like, yo, this is it, And that's it. And that's it. Like, just make your music and be with your beautiful babies and live your life, man. Come on. This is just like, it's too much.
There's no way I can retain all that my son talks to me about, but he has done his best to educate me about many things, including hip hop. When he was up in Vermont, he got into Eminem. That's how the young white kid gets into.
I love Eminem. I don't care what anybody says.
And he got a chance to see him at that Boston Calling. I got him tickets, and that was like one of the best shows
I
ever saw. Wow. But when he came down to live with me, he fell into two great groups of friends. One was at Somerville High School, which is all the theater kids, which is a lot of mostly white Somerville suburban kids. But he also joined Teen Empowerment in Somerville, which is a lot of urban kids, and they were mostly black, Hispanic, and those are to this day, his two groups of friends that he hangs out with all the time. And my son is a great rapper, and he's a great producer.
I would love to hear that.
He's got a couple of things floating out there. Like your son, he's let go of the music a little bit. He
weave in and out. Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that he was one of my engineers at the Burn Back Room series. Like he's a great engineer. He started doing the whole Logic thing, and he learned it, and then it turned into live. And I couldn't train him. I had to have Joyce, my head sound engineer, train him because we're father son. And it's not how I learned, Dad. Just get your hands up. I have to do the buttons. I'm like, all right, well, you go fucking learn your way. So I gave him to Joyce, and then he listened to her. But he was the engineer. So he's getting a little bit older. He started getting more politically minded and hanging out. He got into fitness more, and he got into engineering more. And he has incredible work ethic. So I don't worry about my kid. He left high school. You told high school to fuck off, which is always a little disconcerting.
Like, oh.
But he was in a program called something, and then it got stopped by COVID. He's working on getting a proper degree.
Okay.
But that kid has educated me, and like he spent one day just telling me, he plays me samples like, this is why Kanye is important.
Kanye's amazing.
Because I'll admit it, I would probably be the guy going, oh, look at the picture of Kanye and Neil Peart. Oh, look, you make beats. That's cute. Like I probably.
Yeah,
would be that.
I get why people would say that if they don't understand what it takes to structure a beat the way he does.
Right.
So yeah, that's the thing.
And what beats are to the hip hop community.
Exactly.
People don't understand that. It's the culture. It's like,
listen,
all kinds of people make beats and they have tags and this, you know, and they work. And like my son hates Sting because of what Sting did to, I forget the rapper's name. He's died. The rapper, he OD'd. But like this rapper used a guitar part of "Shape of My Heart" or "Fragile" or something.
No, it was he's not dead. It's "Every Breath You Take."
No, not "Every Breath You Take." No, it's more new than that. More recent than that.
I don't know.
It's you got to look it up. Someone's got it out. I don't know if anybody's.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know that one. I knew about Puff Daddy, P Diddy, whatever you want to call him, taking "Every Breath You Take" and not asking permission and it being a problem.
What the hell is it?
Is that the name?
Oh no, it's "Shape of My Heart."
Juice WRLD?
Juice WRLD, yeah. It's Juice WRLD. Juice WRLD, he OD'd in an airport. He got cut up in an airport on a private plane and he ate all the drugs and died.
Oh my goodness.
I guess as my son might tell it, Sting heard it, took the guy under his wing, put him on stage, and then sued him for 80% of what he made off the song. And meanwhile, in Juice WRLD, he wasn't P Diddy or Puff Daddy. He was just this very that was all of his money, basically.
Oh wow!
But and here I am defending the old school. Well, that's Sting's song. That's his guitar part. He wrote that. That's his art. You can't just sample it. And I'm not saying I stand by that, but I'm just saying playing devil's advocate. I'm having this conversation with them, and it's but that's not what the hip hop community does. They create together and share, and that's what Kanye. That's part of what Kanye is. He creates. This guy laid down this, and it's funny because the DJ Khaled thing is and then people start typing. Is all this guy does is yell DJ Khaled in the middle of every song? It's no, this is what the beat creators do. Yeah. They put their tag on something. And then it's like a water. It's exactly what it is. It can be as in your face as DJ Khaled, or it could be like a set.
Yeah.
On every single track. Mm-hmm. And it's just
part of it. Yeah.
Getting secular about the whole conversation. It is all of our jobs, but especially white people's job, and it is to be able to go, oh. Huh? Instead of just going, Kanye, he doesn't make beats. He's not prejudiced against. Look at him, he's got money. Shut. It's really. My nephew is chiming in. My nephew is a huge hip hop fan too. He loves Kanye. My nephew loves Kanye. Yeah. Listen, opening your ears and being empathetic and being open and going forward rather than the cheap joke,
I didn't know a lot of music. All I knew was I grew up to Stevie Wonder and Michael Jackson, and that was my life. And so when I didn't know I was going to get into jazz so much. I had no idea. My dad was listening to smooth jazz. No shade to my dad. He was listening to Bob James, and Bob James is amazing. So whatever. But he, it was smooth jazz. And so I didn't know about Coltrane or Ahmad Jamal or any of that. I didn't know until I heard it. Exactly. It's music appreciation. I didn't know about it until I heard hip hop, A Tribe Called Quest. They sampled so many jazz albums. What was the one? My favorite by Ahmad Jamal is called "I Love Music." Listen to it. It's if you haven't heard it, listen to it. But it is I can pinpoint exactly where the sample is for "The World Is Yours" by Nas. That sample is from "I Love Music," Ahmad Jamal. And when I love to listen to both, and that's the point. It's it introduces you to this stuff. All that Parliament Funkadelic stuff that Dr. Dre sampled. Mm-hmm. I didn't know. There's, I had no idea that Timbaland and all these people were, who's the other one? I can't remember his name right now. All these people were sampling these beats, these pieces. I can't remember the name of it right now, but there's one by Funkadelic. Hey, I know the bass line, right? And Aaliyah, or was it Aaliyah? I think it was Aaliyah. Somebody from that time period, they wrote a song where it was DMX and Aaliyah, I think. And it's a whole other song, and the beat is almost shifted a little bit. So you're like, wait a minute, what is this? And then you go and you listen to the original, and you're like, this is killing! Oh my God! Like, it's just so cool. So I'm just
homage.
Yeah, and
respect.
I'm like, that's what we have to do. We have to look at it that way. What I love about the Roots, though, and I always go back to them because they're a live band doing it, and they would make things sound like a sample, and it wasn't.
Right.
And that was cool too. That's
right.
Yeah, you're doing stuff where I thought you were scratching that in, and that they were just playing it. It's like, that's amazing. But that's the thing; it influences a whole new set of musicians. All those musicians that listen to hip hop play drums like hip hop. They play them a little uneven because when you were scratching back then, it was a little uneven. And now you've got drummers totally out there playing like that.
I played with this fella for a little while. I used to have a residency at the Middle East Corner on Monday nights, and I played with this fella. His name was Chris Montecalvo.
Oh, I know that name.
And he lives in Rhode Island. He's great drummer, great artist. But he used to live in the city. But long story short, he used to use chopsticks, so he could literally go that fast. And he used to mimic drum bass, which is electronic.
Yep.
But it was so fast, like this dance vibe, and he would do it.
Yep.
And we would.
Questlove does that too.
Yeah, wild.
It's amazing, and that's the thing because everybody's like, oh, that's junk, and I'm like, yeah, but listen to these musicians. That's what they hear now, and they're still counting the way we're counting. They still have 4 beats in the measure. But they realize that there's so many other little, ands and one-eandas and all this stuff in between that they can, all these different emphasis that they can use, and they didn't know until we experimented the way we did in hip hop. Dance went a whole other place too because of it. Musicals went a whole other way because of look at Hamilton, man. Hamilton.
Yeah, I mean that's the epitome. Yeah,
you got musical theater, legit musical theater singers, and rap that sounds very much like Eminem and Tupac and all of that, because of sampling. I got into Queen. Oh yeah, all of that, right?
I love that this whole thing, this whole podcast. Like Theo is a real old buddy. Theo's real old. No, he's a buddy of mine from Long Island back in the day when I used to play in a band like the early mid '90s. I love seeing Theo on his feed.
But that's a big deal because, like, my son loves Queen and Bowie and all that. But then I always make jokes with him when I tell him about the whole Ice Baby thing.
Yeah.
Well, mine's different because it has the doom, 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 doom.
Yeah.
But, I'll be honest. I'm from Michigan, Battle Creek, Michigan. I didn't know that was a song by Freddie Mercury and Bowie. I didn't know that, and so in a way, Vanilla Ice kind of helped me realize, wait, Queen's kind of cool, So, and that's my point. It's like all this, like, oh, you're stealing my stuff, and it's like, yeah, but I think it's better to just bring the awareness. More people. I know more Black folks that like Aerosmith simply because they did Walk This Way with Run DMC.
Of course, yeah.
Of
course.
So it's just like, we have to embrace these new things.
Is the legality of that clearer now? Like I'm not even sure.
It's better.
Yeah. It's
better, but people are still out there doing it wrong, and I understand why. They're looking at it like, how do I even know if my song's going to be a hit? And now I got to pay all this money, and it probably won't even get anywhere. And that's the problem, is that it's usually the one that you think isn't going to hit that does, and then you're in trouble. So you have to be careful.
Yeah, I read into that Juice WRLD thing a lot.
Oh, I need to look into that. I didn't know about that.
Yeah, it was a topic that my son and I were going back and forth on a lot because
write it down.
I think if I had to surmise it, and again, it's been a while since I thought about it, but I think Sting was basically right, but he did it really shitty.
I'm sure. Sting's a great musician, wrote great music, but he didn't always go about things right.
Yeah.
We all know that from the history of the
The
police.
police, yeah. Sting's an asshole.
He is.
It's like, ever want to meet your idol? I'm like, Sting is like my musical idol. It's the reason I play bass. I mean, the police, the raw energy of the police is what draw me to playing music. Mm-hmm. I grew up, we're talking about, you cover another song off of Intervisions. I was listening to it today. What was it? But that record is, my mom and dad, their records were my first introduction to music. And it was a great, colorful hodgepodge of artists and styles, because it was like Sticky Fingers, Rolling Stones, Simon and Garfunkel, Greatest Hits, Cat Stevens, but it was War, and then Intervisions, and I had the album cover Intervisions that I looked at all the time. It was so fucking cool that it was the texture of it was so intentional. It wasn't like any other textured record. It was almost felt like a cloth or something.
Yeah.
And you know, and that record is so, especially on vinyl. Yeah, it's right in the my bottom right corner. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Love it.
And the acoustic texture of Intervisions, especially on vinyl. Not that we had another option back then, cassettes or whatever, but like was so quintessentially, and I don't mean this like soft like music, like, but like it was just warm. Yeah. Intervision is such a warm record.
Yeah.
And
it's beautiful.
It's funny, and I heard you cover that immediately. Like anything off of Intervisions immediately brings me to like a happy place, like a oh, I just screwed up my screen. Oh no.
I still see you.
I know, but I did this thing where I like made it like really giant.
Oh, okay.
I'm a moron.
Yeah, I did that whole album once, and then the Intervisions album at a concert once, and it was really fun to do.
You did the whole album?
The whole album. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
We did it at the Beehive. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. And after, I believe it was either before Golden Lady or after Golden Lady, I went and changed clothes into a gold outfit because I was being extra. Yeah. But it was really fun to do that whole album. I was nervous that we weren't going to get through it because it was a lot to learn, but we did it and it was fun. And I wish we could do it again. We should. Maybe not that album, but a album by Stevie. All Stevie albums are great to me, even the ones that are cheeseball. I love.
Even like the nobody escaped the 80s.
No, the 80s, like the
I'm sure Stevie was wearing the worst. I mean, you can't, you know, he was wearing the worst 80s like leather jacket or whatever, and
he wore whatever they put him in.
yeah, I suppose, but
the match, okay, great, you know.
Yeah.
Even his cheeseball stuff was written so well.
Yeah, and it's him.
I love Stevie Wonder too. Yeah, absolutely. I just think he's my top artist, top vocalist and musician. You know, because he's just good at everything. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did.
Did you already say what was the song you covered? That's on your. I think it's on your website.
I usually do Higher Ground, but I don't know what's on my website.
What? Yeah, all right.
I don't know what's on my website. I think it's Higher Ground. It could be. I don't know. I've done so many. I've done a lot of songs by him because he's just my absolute favorite.
Maybe it was Higher Ground then.
Higher Ground is usually the most hard hitting one. Living for the City, that's a great one. Yeah. But there's so many. I mean, I'll be like, this one's my favorite, and then suddenly I hear something else, I'm like, oh, never mind. This one's my favorite too. It's like, forget it. That you talking about a genius. That's a genius.
Yeah, as much as she loves me, she probably hates me too, because every time I see Jen Kearney, I always ask her to do a Stevie tune.
She loves Stevie.
She does, but she's also tired. Oh, yeah, okay, all right.
Listen, I love me some Jen, and I know Jen, and I agree that you're never really tired.
Yeah.
Doing a Stevie Wonder tune. No way. It just doesn't
She's so
happen.
good, Jen Carey. We really are blessed to be in a deep community.
We are.
Mm.
We are. And I'm glad to know so many, and I'm glad that I'm still learning new people. I love every bit of it. I really do. I love that that we all had. You know what bums me out actually is that so many of the venues were starting to close even before COVID. And it's like, yo, what? Riles? What? You know, like,
yeah, it's getting a little scary.
Middle East, that whole area. What?
Yeah.
You know, what's happening?
Are they closing?
I know that it's up for sale, and who knows what happens when somebody buys it, you know?
Yeah, it's up for
you
sale.
You want to hope they keep it, you know? And then you start to have to create your own venue, and it's like, that's not easy to do either. Trying to find a place that wants to hear what you're going to bring. Okay. You know, it's not easy.
Yeah.
I always had a hard time too, because I teeter on the whole, I love to sing jazz, but I also love to sing R&B. I just love to sing whatever I want to sing. But some rooms are dedicated to jazz and some are dedicated to the other, and some don't want any kind of crossover, and some don't know what jazz is. You have the rooms that are like, we want jazz, but they're not asking for a single jazz tune.
Right.
So, you know, it's hard to, for someone like me, it was almost hard to find the right venue. And when people are like, oh, try here, I'm like, trust me, I did. And it did. And wherever it is that we're talking about, it got close, but it didn't quite, it was still part of me as an artist that was missing. So
honestly, we haven't done a show yet, huh?
Me and you?
Yeah, I haven't had you.
I've been part of Chick Singer Night.
Mm-hmm.
So that's about all I've done as far as things that you were a part of in that aspect.
We could fix that.
Okay. Yay. Yeah, because I may be one of those people that comes with a band and tracks. Because I have things that are made that really don't sound good yet with a band, but I still want to do them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so it's like, well, then let's find a way to do it. Of course, I'm one of those people that are diehard, like, well, we can't find the one that's going to sound like this track, so I'll just learn it on my ukulele and play it, you know? So like, it's fun to do that too. So I'm open to whatever, but I just want to do more of what I want to do rather than what I have to do. That's been my biggest thing. And that's what I've learned from this whole thing. I've been meditating. I've been working out. I've been eating better. I've lost a bunch of weight. I feel good. My blood pressure's down. All these beautiful things have happened. And but the thing that came out of from being able to step back and just rest and listen to the silence has been, I've been an entertainer this whole time, and that's not what I wanted to do.
Huh.
So I'm ready. I'm ready to come out here as an artist now. I've always been part artist, but I was never full artist. I'm ready. Let's go.
You gotta feed the wolf. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
And it's cool. I mean, that sounds like a great show too, because it's like the variety of having something like a band and then tracks and then ukulele, like a couple songs of each, however it is.
Yeah.
And that's a great show right there, you know?
I do. I think it would be fun. And I think more people are open to things like this now. So.
Yeah. So you play a little bit piano too, right?
Oh, not as well as not enough to play much for you. I did write a couple songs on piano, but yeah, if anybody asked me to play any of those entertainer songs, I wouldn't be able to do it. Right.
Do you, what's your go-to? Like you have an idea in your head and you're about to write a song, you have a melody. Is it always piano first or is it always uke first?
Piano. Yeah. Unless I'm just toying around with chords on the ukulele, which does happen. I'll do like, some sort of, we did a sound check earlier and I was just messing around with, different, what is this? Shapes, right? I was like, ooh, that sounds cool. And so then I would come up with a melody. A lot of times though, I come up with a melody and then try to find chords around it. Or I sit on the piano messing around with chords and then I'm like, ooh, I could sing this to that, that kind of thing. It's interesting how ideas come because they don't always come the same way every time. But like this where's the thing? I just wrote this recently. This is a new one. It's not even done yet, but I'll play a little piece of it.
Yeah.
And it came to me because I was playing with shapes. Just I like the way that sounds. That's the other thing too, is I picked up ukulele and actually I don't know a single Hawaiian song. I don't. Everybody's like, oh, can you play Tiny Bubbles? And I'm like, yeah, no, I can't actually. I don't know it. And I have the whole ukulele song a day thing. It's like 365 songs in it. And then there's one for leap year and 366. And, oh, that's so cute.
When I bought this because, like, all right, sometimes I have these songs and uke is like, it's a great instrument and I've written on it a bunch, but I should have this just in case.
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
And I keep it near the uke. You never know when a party's going to break out. You'd be like, guess what I can do?
Right. So let me see here. This one, I don't even have a title for it yet, but let's see if I can come up with these words. Okay. Even when the sun stops shining, I always feel the light with you. In my mind, I'm at peace and flying whenever in the presence of you. Fear disappears and time stands still. Butterflies in my belly and in the sky. Ooh, it's the best kind of high. Ooh. All of the emotions I am feeling, I only want to share them with you. Negativity seems so fleeting, 'cause I'm chilling and I'm vibing with you. Fear disappears and time stands still. Butterflies in my belly and in the sky. Ooh, it's the best kind of high. Ooh. So I haven't finished writing it yet. But yeah, that's what happens is I'll come up with this thing. I actually had written the words years ago, and then as I came up with those chords, I started to rearrange where the words would go. And when you cover a song, do you put your own spin or just karaoke? Okay, so both. When I'm singing with a wedding and event band, you usually try to do it record copy. Of course, I still add my own little stank or something on it. But when I'm doing a cover for just because I want to do a cover, no, I change the feel of it. I'll if it's really uplifting and fast, I'll make it really slow and depressing, like on purpose. I have an idea that I've been sitting on for years, and I finally started to get it in motion, and then it paused for a moment, but I'm going to push on it again, where I'm going to take a bunch of 90s grunge music that I grew up to and make them jazz tunes. And I am excited about it. Like, I'm talking like Soundgarden, Jane's Addiction, and stuff like that. Nirvana. I mean, Nirvana's kind of already been done, but maybe the Foo Fighters, things like that. Just stuff that, like, it's all really good songs, but I don't want to sing it just karaoke. I want to put like a real spin on it. And a lot of people do that, especially in the jazz world. But even just in like the pop world, for instance, Sam Smith did How Will I Know by Whitney Houston. But it doesn't sound like that cheeseball happy 80s dance thing with the leg warmer song. It's very like the song takes new meaning when Sam Smith sings it. And that's what I like doing. I like doing things like that to songs. So I hope that answers. Good
question.
Yeah, that was a good question.
Thanks, Theo. I also remembered what song it was. You covered "Don't You Worry About a Thing."
Oh, yeah.
With a guitar player.
That was Nero. That's the one I'm writing a song with right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's great. He's an excellent guitarist. And what's really funny, that was going to be a reunion for Hyptonic. We had gotten together to record some songs that are just to this day still sitting in a vault. And we lost the footage and the recording. It just turned to a big mess. And the only thing we were able to salvage was that cover where we had kind of taken a break. And the woman who was filming us was like, okay, I'll film you guys doing this. And that's what came from that. And actually, that's my biggest hitting video on YouTube, because some movie had that song in it and people searched for it and mine came up. I was like, come on, movie. Yeah, let's go. People were like, this is great. I didn't even know this was going to come up and I love it. And I'm like, yay. You know, that's the thing when people are like, I'm trying to go viral. I'm like, you can't go viral. It just happens.
I just realized why when I play videos.
Thank you, Kathy.
I can do this.
Yeah, you're doing great. You're fine. Kathy Higgs Pauling is Stephen Higgs' sister.
Ah, cool.
Yeah, so that's pretty cool.
I just learned something about my own tech, Lydia. Thank you. Thanks for this lesson. Just realized when I was playing those videos before, it's because I selected a different audio source. So I'd have to play it through my mixing board. I
see. Okay, well, at least you figured it out.
I am so smart.
You are. You're wicked smart.
I'm so wicked smart. This whole podcast, this is fulfilling my need to connect with artists again.
I'm loving it. Thank you so much for having me here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for doing it.
Yeah.
Thanks for doing the show.
Absolutely. Have me again sometime. We can talk more. Because I have a feeling we've only scratched a surface.
I could keep going. I mean, it's been 2.5 hours. We're chatting. I don't know where the boundaries are on podcasts. I mean, I guess you hear. I mean, we all listen to podcasts now, and some of them are an hour. Some of them are always 45 minutes. Some of them are plenty long. You know,
some are like 6 minutes. You never know.
But we got a little deep about a few things, which is
I'm happy.
Yeah,
I'm happy about that.
Yeah.
Thank you for letting me be able to speak on a lot of the things I've been wanting to speak on.
Yeah, this is one. I've liked all of the podcasts I've done so far, but this is one I think I'm going to share a few times. You know, just like
cool.
This is one they've all been entertaining, but this one I feel like is important.
Thank you. I think so too. I'm so glad you're doing it. Really, I am, because I think we need more connection. We forget about it when we're stuck in our homes. I run into that problem too. I'm just like, man, I need to call somebody. I need to video somebody. I need to do something. So this is good.
Do you have a bubble? Do you have a group? You know what I'm saying?
That I see?
Thanks, Kathy. Yeah. Do you my wife and I, the people who live in the first floor downstairs in this place we just moved into, they're wonderful. Like we live in a 3-story condo.
Oh, that's
so
great.
It's like, I hope we have good neighbors. We have great neighbors.
Yeah.
So we've been able to barbecue in the backyard because I have no fucking kitchen. You know, and some really good friends of ours, they do it right. We went over there and it's just the 4 of us, and they give us our own bathroom to use, and we eat out in the backyard. Like, do you have a crew?
Not as much as I'd like, but I do have a very dear friend that lives in Medford, so she's not too far. And I've gone to her yard and hung out with her, and I'm going to do that again. I have one other friend that we've talked about doing that, and we haven't yet. And then there's, Kit. You know, Kit's always part of the bubble, but we're still pretty practicing distancing because we have to talk about, like, what did you do?
Right.
You know.
Right.
Where have you been? And sometimes we don't think about it. It's like, oh yeah, I forgot that I went there. You know, so it's like, we got to be really safe about it. So, and I feel like I'm over paranoid when I see other people posting pictures of them hugging up on everybody. And listen, I'm a hugger. I miss hugging.
Yeah,
a lot.
big time. Yeah,
a lot. And there's people that are telling me, like, I miss you. Let's just like do a gig from my house. And it's like, I want to. But I really have to think it over a lot more than most, because I'm at high risk. And also my son's father, his whole family has a bunch of high risk people in the house too. So it's like, anytime I do anything, I have to be thinking about more than just myself. And that's the hard thing. I turned down a gig that I really wanted to do because it wasn't safe enough for me.
Yeah. Danielle has had some gigs. I had one gig with her, and it was good. It was very distanced. And she had 2, but one was like live stream in studio, so there was no actual huge crowd. It was just like 4 tech people and her. But it's strange. Like I don't want to like. We've been offered bar gig type situations
Yeah,
where it's like
I
my
just
desire to play in front of people does not outweigh my desire to not have that one person come up to you and be like, yeah, I know Mask, but do you know a song by blah, 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 Skinner?
Right.
And I'm like, you know.
See, and that's the thing too. I was already tired of that environment, so
Yes.
I definitely don't want to be a part of
Yes.
it in this.
Yes.
The one thing I did that I really love is about a couple weeks ago, I sang for a couple that had been married for 10 years, and he was asking his wife to marry him again. I thought that was really sweet.
Oh.
I went down to Rose Wharf, the Boston Harbor Hotel, and I was more than 6 feet away from them. The lady that his wife didn't even know I was hired.
Okay.
And then he gets on his knee, and they have their kids with them. And I come over, and this is one of those times where I'm okay with singing a request. And it was
that's
right. So it's like, this is beautiful.
Yeah.
Everything I do It For You by Bryan Adams.
Yeah.
And,
and the only time you'd ever sing that song.
Exactly. And also, I Can't Help Falling in Love with You, Elvis Presley. But I did it on my ukulele, and that was fun. And I was nervous because it had been the first time I had sang in front of people standing in front of them since March. So I was like, okay, I need to like find ways to do this so that I don't get nervous. I haven't been nervous in like that in years, but it was, but it felt so good to do it. And they were so grateful. And it was just, and I felt safe because I was standing next to the ocean where the wind is blowing and everybody is pretty much wearing their mask. And I just took mine off long enough to sing and put it right back on. So I felt safer, but you don't always get those ideal situations. So
yeah. And nobody wants to get this thing.
No.
You don't want to get this thing.
Even, everybody's like, oh, you'll live. And it's like, yeah, but I listen, I don't even want a regular cold.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a lot we don't know about it, and we don't know about the long-term effects. And there's people who have gotten it, and later, they 7 weeks later, they go through this fatigue bout, and it lingers. And I don't know if I'm high risk, but I don't know if I'm not. I mean, I was on a ventilator last year.
Yeah.
I had pneumonia.
Yeah.
So it's like, on one hand, you were telling me what you've been doing, and I'm like, geez, we're like the same person. I've been exercising. I'm down a significant amount of weight. Awesome. I'm a sober person for more than a year now. Like,
that's awesome.
So, it's not like I've been going to AA meetings or anything. I just had not to knock that, but like, I just had this event that was so traumatic. I'm like, yeah, people, hey, you miss drinking? I'm like, nah, I missed being able to use the bathroom without being held up. That's what I missed.
Right.
I don't miss bedpans. I'm good. I'm good without drinking for a little while, but yeah, I don't want to be like I've said this to about a half dozen people in public, and every single time I've gotten the same reaction because nobody wants to be nobody. I don't want to be that person that's like, put your mask on. The sign in the window says mask only. Blah blah blah. It's like it's fucking common sense. Just goddamn or at least stay away from me. Yeah. But there's always like the guy like this, hey man, I'm fine. And it's 5 out of 6 times it's been at Market Basket when I'm shopping, where you have to go to get food.
Yeah. I had an old man wearing his like this and then touch my shoulder, and I was like, and I think that I did that. Yeah, I'm like, but my man, like, get away from me,
And I've said this to a few people. I said it once on impulse, and it worked so well. I've tried it a few other times, and I don't do like someone gets close enough where they shouldn't be that close anyway. Like, I don't know. I like being, it's in the bar business. You don't even want to be near people anymore. It's like, and I just look them right in the eye and be like, I can tell you exactly what it's like to be on a ventilator. And it's met with the same stunned silence every time. It's like, because I'm not saying put your mask on. I'm not saying you're violating my rights or space. I'm not saying you're a bad person because you're endangering the world. I'm saying I can tell you what it's like to be on a ventilator.
Yeah. That'll shut somebody up quick. Yeah.
And if the immediate reaction isn't this, I start to go into some detail. And then And
Oh man.
five out of 6 times, it's like, oh no, man, dude, no, I hear you. Yeah, it's crazy what we're going through. It's camaraderie.
You gonna put that on now? Yeah.
And
Okay.
then one woman ran away, screaming, "I don't want to hear that!" But she
Okay,
ran
that's
away from me, which was what I wanted anyway.
Bye. Yeah. Listen.
See ya.
Yeah. I hate that because that's a part of things that we're gonna have to get over too. When everything starts to get anywhere near what it was, we're going to go through the mental health of it. That's a whole other thing that maybe people aren't really.
I was thinking about that. What, like, because I listen to probably too much NPR along with other news things, and they're always doing, articles on, it's great stuff. Like, but I'm wondering, I'm like, what are the NPR bits going to be 6 months from now? Say we start getting back to normal, like the reintegration of anything normal. I'm still afraid to touch people, or the trauma. Like, trauma is such a strange word because it's
real though.
It's an onomatopoeia, trauma, and but it's true. Like it is what it is, and there's all different degrees of trauma. You could lose a limb or a loved one,
exactly,
or you can go through COVID. So we're all have this base level of trauma that we're going through right now. This displacement.
Yeah. Lots of depression. Yeah.
Yeah. It is interesting. What?
It's a lot, but I believe, to be on the positive side of things, because I always like to. I do believe we're going to get through it, and I believe that, like I said earlier, that we are learning some really cool tricks and tips and tools and things right now that we're not going to get rid of when things go back. We're just going to add it. It's going to enhance the things that we were already doing, and that's kind of cool. And I'm excited for that.
Will we ever go back to shaking hands?
I don't really care. I like hugging, so I don't care about those stanky hands.
Hugging is kind of seems like a better,
Thank
you. Right on. Good.
Yeah, thank you, Kathy.
Well, you showcase for us at the Burn Back Room anytime, for sure.
I'll get my set list ready.
I think hugging, it's like you miss faces. So
yes.
You're breathing this way, but like the shaking hand thing is like, I get
the point of it.
What have you touched? Your fork, your mouth, your nose, your butt, your stuff.
Right.
Even if you did wash your hands, you still did touch your freaking stuff.
Right.
I don't want to touch your butt stuff. I'm sorry. It's like, generally speaking, someone comes up to me and says, why, like, it's such a, COVID has made it such an archaic practice.
Yeah.
And then Trump's ruined it for everybody because he's like, I won't let go until blah, 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 blah. It's like this weird alpha thing. It's like, I don't think I ever want to shake hands again.
Yeah, it's we don't have to. It's okay. There are other ways to greet each other.
We can hug.
We can hug, or we can just be like,
No, this way.
Oh, okay. Wait. Oh, yay! Thank you.
That's good.
It looks good. I thought
we were one.
Yeah,
we were like one two-bodied, two-armed creature.
I think it's funny that I'm turning the opposite way to hug the other. Love it. Yay! We can do it. It's totally possible.
I'm sorry. No matter, I'm still an awkward hugger. It's weird. Elbow fives.
Yeah, those are hilarious watching those happen. But I'll do it. If somebody comes up at me, I'm gonna be like, all right, man, what's up?
Yeah. Yeah, there will be differences. There will be things. I am really looking forward. It's funny, we did get away this weekend, and today was even like, although I know it was good for us, today was more depressing. Because it was kind of like, oh, here we are in this house again.
How often do you go on vacation when you come back and you feel like you need another vacation from the vacation because you weren't ready to come home?
There you go.
So that's normal.
There you go.
You'll be okay. You go out again, get away again.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, we can maybe we can get together, put the masks on, and maybe walk this bike path that's over here in between Malden and Everett.
Yeah, because you're my neighbor. Yeah, let's do it.
We're neighbors now.
Yeah, and I haven't seen Danielle in forever. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Did you know we have a bike path?
Nope, but I'm ready to go.
Yeah. It starts in Everett and it goes through Malden.
Oh, I do know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's right up the road. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it goes to Revere.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I didn't know it went
Eventually, it goes somewhere in Malden up by the Harley store. Now we're just welcome to Massachusetts.
Right.
Welcome to local stuff with Lydia and Tom.
And we're talking like specific mass, like
deep
North
Revere. Yeah, it goes to like about the Harley store a little bit further than that, and then it turns into like a rock path.
Oh.
So it's a great bike path right up until about Revere. And
Maybe
then
they'll continue it. Yeah.
it's hey,
yay! Okay, let's do it. I'm ready.
But it's there's a proposal to pave it all the way to Nahant.
That would be great.
Yeah,
that would be so great. I love that. Nahant's my favorite beach of this up in this area. That's my favorite one.
Yep. Awesome. Now that I live here, I've been there a few times.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Style.
I went to Revere, but that was just because I wanted to just hear the ocean and look at it. And
I ain't going in that water.
I didn't go in the, I just put my feet in the sand and got back in the car. I was like, we're good, let's go. But it was still nice. It's so nice. And I'm not saying this to rub this in on anybody who doesn't live near an ocean, but when you live near an ocean, you have to get to it. Go stand by it. Listen to the water. It is so peaceful. The wind blowing feels so good. Just do it. Just go. If all you have is a little pond, take your butt to the pond. Water is so calming and beautiful and needed, especially in a time like this. So get yourself out there.
I grew up South Shore, Long Island. I'm with you 100%.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah. We went up to Crane Beach last week.
Okay.
That's up Ipswich, Essex. It's a really fancy smancy beach. It's very expensive.
Okay.
It's like $30-$40 to park or something. Or
you gotta make it a day.
And you have to like do it in advance. But Danielle and I took the motorcycle up there. It was a weekday. We just went. I was like, I didn't buy tickets, and some dude was just like, you know what? Charge him like a bicycle. It's like $3.
Oh, that's cool.
Totally hooked us up, and we went in and trudged across the beach with our motorcycle boots on and shit, looking like fucking moronic badasses.
That's awesome. I love it.
Look how stupid and bad these guys look at the same time.
I gotta go check that one out. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, that's like all those Crane Beach and Winger Chic and Gloucester and Manchester by the Sea and all those.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the whole time you're driving by all these places, you start, in today's climate, you start thinking like, most of these beaches they're private access, city resident, blah, blah, you can't get to them. And like, you start to realize like, yeah, fucking privilege, man, privilege. I guarantee you if we were like, you know what? I don't know. There are great people out there, but you never know. Like for
the most part, people are doing that for a reason.
Two black people pull up on a motorcycle and they probably would be like, no, sorry, man, you need a permit, you need a thing, We're just like,
but you're right. It could change, and it has been. It's been slowly changing. So you're right. There could be some people up in those areas now. So from like from when we were younger, it ain't working. But now, maybe. And it feels good to know that there's just that maybe feels nice. And I hope that we can continue to just make it so that eventually it's not even a thought. It just, man, come on and let's do it.
Every little bit.
Everybody's saying goodnight to us. We're like,
I know. We're just like going on. Could you imagine if we were at a bar, we'd be closing the place,
I've done it before.
Too many times. Yeah. Too many times.
But anytime you want to have me back on here, let's do it. Because I could talk to you for a while. I like streams of consciousness. So this is good.
I am so grateful that you said yes. And we have crossed paths probably a dozen times, but we've never done this. Like I've had
maybe that's part of why we're taking so long.
Yeah, maybe it's like, hey,
we're not really.
Yeah, this is great. This is everything I'm envisioning for this here little series.
Awesome.
A lot of fun. I can't thank you enough.
You're welcome, and thank you.
Yeah, when we get back to it too, and you have that. Oh man, I wanted to ask you, like, what's it like learning Billie Holiday style songs? Like,
it's great.
Did you get that? Did you start to practice for it? Did you start to wrap your brain around it?
Yeah, I already had most of the script down. I had all the music memorized. and I still do. That's the beauty of it. But I was already singing. Her style was already part of my personal style anyway, so it wasn't that difficult to billy it up more. I really didn't want, for the longest time I tried to make it so I didn't sound like her. So it was really funny. I get the role and now suddenly I'm like, oh,
right.
Okay. So I have to like revisit this sound. But I love her timing and I love her story. And I have books upon books that I was reading about her and watching documentaries and everything. Because if you look into it, there's not many video of Billie speaking. So to get her voice down was difficult. But,
did you find some stuff? Or?
I did, not a lot. I found a rehearsal. And that was it. And it's very faint.
There's not even like a radio interview or something?
Okay, so other than like how we're talking right now, most of the time when you do a radio interview, especially back then, everything was very not the way you talk. So, she's, oh, yes, oh, da, da, ba, ba, ba. But from what I read, she was cursing like a sailor and drunk all the time and high. So, there's no way she was talking that proper and beautiful when she was telling her musicians to go screw, So,
right.
Yeah. So I was like, I would love to know what that sounded like. And there's nothing of that. So, but it was still really cool to hear her speak and understand the time period she's living in. So, yeah.
What a wonderful and interesting person to have to study and really go deep on,
Absolutely.
Like, wow, that's...
she has a tragic story and one that more people need to know about. So I'm glad that I still have that role and that I will have the opportunity to tell that story. I'm
going to be at opening night.
Yay! Thank you.
Absolutely.
So excited.
Can't wait. That's something to look forward to.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, it's been a treat. We should probably, I could, if we keep doing this, I'm going to come up with another thing. You're going to come up with another thing.
And another thing.
Yeah. But yeah, thanks for doing this. And I would definitely have you back on doing this. Sure. This is it's just episode 6. I'm just getting out of the gate.
All right. I'm ready. Yeah. Whenever you're ready, I'm ready. All right.
We've been talking so long. Normally, I got this iPad and I'm like queuing up your song to play for the outro. Now you know the behind the scenes.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm just gonna let's see. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm doing it, and this should have been done already. One of these days, I'll be able to hire an engineer.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna.
Let's do it though. You're doing great.
You gonna hang on for a minute, and we'll say a proper goodnight.
Okay.
All right, hang out there, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to Live Stream of Consciousness with Tom Bianchi, and my guest tonight was Lydia Harrell, and her website is lydiaharrell.com or lovelysinger.com. Either way, it gets you to all things Lydia Harrell. Let me see if I can put that up there. Yeah, look at that. Lovely Singer or Lydia Harrell, spelled Harrell. 2 R's, 2 L's. Not Harrell's, Harrell. We had that conversation earlier. It's his... Anyway, I'm tired. I've been talking a long time. I'm gonna get the hell out of here. I'm gonna start rolling in the music. I think it's being rolled in right now. Hopefully it's being rolled in right now. And maybe you can still hear me. Maybe you can't. Maybe the music's too loud. Maybe I have to talk louder. I don't really know. It's probably like 1 or 2 people watching. Maybe there's a couple of people watching. They're just tuning in now because this is the best part of the show because everybody loves a good train wreck. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to make the broadcast go away now. Thank you so much. Oh, my guest next week is singer, songwriter, music therapist, Sarah Blacker. She's absolutely wonderful. She's up in Salem these days. I was out on a motorcycle the other day. I rode past and we chatted it up from about 10, 20 feet away. And she's going to be on the show next Monday. So tune in. I'm out of here. I'll see you later. Thanks you so much. And all those things. I'm out. I'm gone.